Hey, what's going on, everyone? It is David Palmer, Leo King, and Craig Skidmore here for Deep Love Tarot, your weekly Zodiac love reading for the week of May 4th through the 10th of 2020 for the full moon in Scorpio, the nodes changing, and a Venus getting ready for retrograde, a Jupiter getting ready for retrograde, and a Saturn getting ready for retrograde, all when we come into the beginning of next week, and Venus square Neptune. It's a big, big week for Scorpio party, big full moon Scorpio. If you've never been on this video ever before, check out highvibe.tv. That's what we are all about. We are all about being the spiritual network that is truly free energetically and truly just full real and having the time of our lives while growing together and having a blast. Please check us out at our website or all of our apps. I just also released out the Era of Providence video. It was what I did on New Year's, and it's free on YouTube and on the app. And then, of course, you can get the what's next of 2020 video that's 3.5 hours long. So if you liked Era of Providence, imagine that for 3.5 hours and what's next. And what I go more specific into what I'm going to see here in 2020, you can get that now at highvibe.tv. It's at the paid video section. And go onto the computer to get that. And then, of course, you can watch on the apps or on your computer, or you can Chromecast it, you can do whatever. And all the links are down below. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing well, my brother. How are you? I'm ready. You said right before this that we will be shifting here.
Yes.
During this live, which is 9:14 p.m. over here on the West Coast, baby.
Well, it depends on how long the show goes, but usually it's about a 2-hour, 40-minute show. Yeah. And
what are we shifting?
We're shifting.
What are we shifting?
Well, we're shifting into a new story. The nodes are, so think of the Matrix and how, not when you're awake, but you know when you're in those pods and they got those like big connectors in you?
Yes.
Connect you to the Matrix. Like think of the nodes, these invisible nodes, which are knots, invisible knots, which are actually the lunar, the nodes of the moon. And these are the actual cross points on the ecliptic. The ecliptic, of course, is where you see the sun and the moon's path, and you can also see the planet's path on the horizon line. There's these invisible knots that move every 18 months through one zodiac sign on one side in the north and the other on the south. So it takes 18 to 19 years to come around fully to do an 18-month cycle. So we haven't seen the North Node move into Gemini since right after 9/11, which would have been right there in the fall of 2001, right? Into beginning of 2002. So it was 2002 into 2003 we saw the North Node in Gemini last. And that's where it's coming tonight, late tonight, at about 11:30 p.m., 11:15 or something like that.
Heck yeah.
So it's new stories. The last one, November 18th to now. And if you think about the November 18th energy, 2018 that is, it's not been easy. And that South Node in Capricorn, North Node in Cancer. So it's like everybody wanted emotion and to feel comfortable, but yet we all had our blocks, whether it was through reality, but if you look really deep, you did do a lot of blocks, everybody, to emotional things that you really wanted. And it's like, that's the South Node issue, right? Is like blocks when it's in Capricorn. Now the South Node issue is coming into Sag, not looking at the facts, not being in the right environment, always pushing things away and being too hopeful instead of actually like making it part of your environment. Like it always being this thing that's far away. Like, oh yeah, no, and it's like a positive far away. Like, oh yeah, like I'll do that one day. I'll get there one day. I'll travel there one day. I'll hope and it will just show up one day. Well, Gemini is curious. It's like a cat or a dog, right? It's like, I'm going to go over there and check it out. Right? It's kind of like, so we're all going to want to go check out a lot of things and then just be like, well, I'm really hopeful that it will all work out that way, instead of just like, you know what? I'm going to go see if that trash smells good or not. You know what I mean? I'm going to go over there and see if this thing really makes sense to me. And I'm going to put it in my environment and actually make it my environment, and actually so I can understand it. Because we can't understand something unless we fully are in it, right? That whole idea of Sagittarius is the belief of something without actually having the factual data. Like, so that's why religions come under Jupiter's reign in Sagittarius, of course, right? Because it's like, there's no factual data. Sure, as I think people on high vibe or people in the spiritual community can give all the facts that we want that proves there's God and proves that there's all these things. It's still like that. Gemini is that more like, I need to see the numbers. I need to see also the duality of things. It's a neutral sign. So it's like being neutral in the middle and being like, well, let me look at it from there and let me look at it from there. Where Sag is not neutral. It's like, no. If you're on that side, you are going to hell. Or if you're on that side, you're only going to heaven, right? Like there's that whole like, it's dual-sided, but it doesn't stay on a neutral side. It totally gives all the energy to one side or the other. And that's going to be the problem for the next 18 months. So it's a crazy story. It reminds me of Barnum and Bailey's circus a little bit because it's mutable energy, where we were in cardinal, which was more about what direction we take and do we take action on it, where mutable is a lot of like beating around the bush, especially in Gemini and Sag. Like, let me look at this. And I've been calling it, I channeled this on High Vibe. If you watch The Intuitive, if everybody wants to watch and subscribe to High Vibe, you watch my daily videos, my daily horoscopes, and then I do weekly intuitives and weekly tarot and weekly sun signs, which, by the way, the weekly sun signs came up just now. But there's that whole element of like, are we going to just be looking at things like through glass, or are we going to actually be looking at things in the environment? So like, it's like an FBI window, you know what I mean? Kind of like, are you on the other side of the glass just observing everything, or are you actually in it in the room, you know? It's like, I used a bad example of like a SeaWorld tank, but I think that most people don't know, when Craig and I were young and we played water polo and swimming, the pool at our school, our high school, had a diving tank. So we could actually go down, and we had glass where you could like be down there to see how people, when they dove, how well that their finish was in the water. So it's like we were able to like go underneath stairs and like look in the pool. It's almost like, are you going to be on, what are you going to be in the pool, or are you going to be on the other side of the glass? That's going to be the story over the next 18 months. And because there's that whole belief of when you're on the other, when you're in the glass, like, oh, I can do that. But it's another to actually be jumping off the diving board and like do it and be in the water. Then you actually know like, oh, I don't look that good when I land in the water. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does to me. I mean, because I was there. It gives a whole new, it gives a whole new perspective, you know, the finishing product and the way that you actually continue through, you know, situations, or in this instance, relationships. And it's kind of like the finishing act. You know, something might start off well and we're putting in all this information, but if we don't have that ending touch, if we don't have that extra little effort, if we don't have, you know, the perseverance, almost like see through it all the way to the end, then it can just wind up in a mess, and then all the hard work just gets washed away.
Yeah. And the other big thing is, so when nodes change signs, you know, you have to look at the planets they represent. So I talked a lot about Jupiter and then a little bit about Mercury, but Mercury, remember, is the fastest planet. So it's like, you're going to have to be able to be smart to just like look at the data and be like, okay, that's what I'm doing, right? It's like how, you know, when you're like looking at apartments, or like maybe you're renting a house or something, like there's that whole like, okay, I could look at it on Zillow, or I could look at it on Craigslist and be like, oh, okay, this looks really good, right? But then you can kind of almost like put all your hope on one thing, and then you get there and it's not the same, right? But then sometimes it does work. That's why like Sag can be good luck, right? It's like, oh, look at the fortune. You were right. You believed it and made it happen. But Gemini's kind of like, I don't want to rely on that. Like, let's go there and let me like look in the room. Let me actually feel it. Like, so there's a little bit of this quicker to figure it out than longer to figure it out. And then you actually feel blocked in the sense of you're just living a pipe dream, opposed to it's better to get things clear, right? Communication is the other part of Mercury and Gemini, whereas Sag is more just about opinions. So it's like, this is where opinions are going to run rampant and people are going to be living off opinion, where it's like, let's just communicate and let's try and find a way to come together, and let's get the data and information of what's there and not live off opinions, you know? Like, let me just get the truth from you. Like, how do you really feel? What do you really think? Instead of, oh, I think that's great. You know, like, oh yeah, like I think it's great. And then really you're underneath like, well, I'm just trying to be optimistic, but really I don't like it. It's like, now you're delaying the issue and being hopeful. And then what happens is you've gained all that hope. And then when it comes to a point to where you can't handle it anymore and you have that real communication drop, it's like, did you just waste all of that time on some pipe dream and then it didn't come true? What a waste of good fortune, because good fortune will come by actually faster, figuring it out quick, getting to the point and being able to say, that's off the table or that's on the table. It's like, that's where life's at now. Like, get it on the table, figure it out or not. Or just sit and just pipe dream world and just keep living in la la land, you know, because, you know, that you know, it's a little Frank Sinatra-ish, you know, it's like big energy and big vibes, but, you know, like then there's the Dean Martin, which he was Gemini and Frank was a Sag. There was something about Dean Martin. I actually personally liked Frank's music better, but I did like Dean Martin as far as like his messages were a lot more interesting. And when it came to swag and movies and stuff like that, like Dean Martin like was the ladies' man, you know what I mean? Because it was how he knew how to talk and how he knew how to get to the point really quick, where with Frank, it was always kind of like more of a show than it was like, can we really figure this guy out? Like Dean Martin had his own TV show. Frank did movies, but like Frank or Dean really knew how to do it all, figure it all out, get to the point quick. And they're really weird to use these two people as the opposition of Gemini and Sag, or like Brad Pitt and Angelina, right? Angelina's like obviously investigated a lot of things in her life, where so has Brad. But if you notice with Brad, it's a lot more, it takes a minute for him to figure it all out. That's Jupiter. That's a lot more information that wants to take its time to kind of gather. Whereas like, there's something about those Geminis, like it's something about that Angelina, right? She's like, I'm going to be in this, I'm going to be in this, I'm going to have this many kids, I'm going to go try that, I'm going to be with this guy, I like that guy, I'm going to be fucking this, I'm going to do that. She's done all these roles, but so is he. So there's a lot of similarities, just about the approach is different, if that makes sense. I was going to say, you know, the biggest fear now in the world are killer hornets. I think this might be a great thing for love. Everybody's like, what? I'm like, because like, now this forces people to be like, oh, there's killer hornets outside. Let's actually go inside. Because it reminds me of like how just like the world is right now. It's like, people are like, oh my gosh, what's next? I'm like, why don't you just start looking at like, there's always been threats to your life, and is that going to stop your happiness and love? Like, I love, you know, the whole Dr. Evil thing lately going around. Like, they didn't buy the corona thing as much. Send out the killer hornets. Like, you know, like, it kind of feels like Dr. Evil is up there, and I don't know. I just, that's how I feel. And it's funny because actually, Dean Martin was in the movies that Austin Powers copied. A lot of people think Austin Powers was originally created by Mike Myers, which it's really not. It was Dean Martin. And those movies were called the, I have them, what are they called? They're called the, it's amazing too, because it's exactly, even the character of Dr. Evil is the same voice, same tone. And Dean Martin's like Austin Powers, but an American version, and he's got like the cool bed, and he's got the same kind of like ladies around him, and I think it's called the, I haven't. I don't know. Did you ever see those movies, Craig?
I did not.
Wow, really?
No. Sorry, I'm trying to look on the back end. For some reason, it's not showing up on the app, so I'm trying to figure out on the back end why that's happening.
Gotcha. Well, I will, I have, it's funny, like, I don't know if you guys are all like on your, like, I am an Apple guy as far as like, I buy all my movies on Apple, so I remember it's called of course and I probably should just look at the chat and people will know. You guys should watch it. If everybody's like watching more movies than ever, you'll trip out because it'll be like, wow, this was all jacked. You'll actually, I love Austin Powers, but you'll actually look at it and you'll be like,
is that the Matt Helm films?
Matt Helm. Yeah. That's his character, Matt Helm. What's it called? The
Crooked Marquis, maybe?
No, like the name is, I don't know why I forgot it. Like
The Ambushers?
That's what it's. Yeah. I don't think it's the Ambushers.
The Silencers?
The Silencers. That's what it is. Yeah. So it's crazy because you'll watch the movie and you'll be like, this is Austin Powers, the movie. Like, you're like, what? And like, even the whole, like, you know, how they have the guards, like, you know, at Dr. Evil's lair who drive the little carts and stuff. And like, it's all the same. It'll blow your mind. So Dean Martin, definitely, like, that's, okay, so there's a good example of South Node Sag, North Node Gemini. Austin Powers is very North Node Gemini. Quick. Oh, I like you. Let me figure it out. Let me get into it. Let me talk a lot. Let me do this and right. And then like Dr. Evil, who's got big plans to take over the world with a big laser. And it's like this big idea. And then like, but really like executing it takes a while, and he gets lost in mini-me and in his beliefs. And then he, you know, it's like he's not thinking all the time, like $1 million when he's, you know, now in the 90s, right? It's like, and they laugh at him. But like, there's that whole, like, it's all about just this big vision and not like executing the smaller stuff. And like, I mean, it's funny though, because there's that whole sad South Node thing, but like Austin Powers is actually getting more because he's doing more than having a big vision and sitting there waiting for this big vision to come about. So actually, sometimes in life, there are moments when the tortoise is not as good as the hare. And this would be this 18-month cycle where it's like you actually kind of want to change up environments to figure out what the environment is, because you might miss out by just staying like, well, I'm hopeful about this. And especially since this is a love show. With the nodes now in here, they're going to square Neptune. We got Venus retrograde and Gemini coming in, and it's square Neptune. So this is like environmental life. Like, what do you want in love with environmental? And that's a good way to come into the collective. Were you able to figure out the app, or is it still tripping?
It looks like it's only accessible through the email right now. I'm sending in. Yeah, it's strange.
What's it doing? It's just not.
It's only showing up through the email notification. Like, it's not actually just showing up on it. So I'm sending it to the team right now.
Well, I guess people right now, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is, and it will be up there after, for sure.
But I guess if
you are trying to watch it on the app, just look in your email, and you can follow that the link that's sent to you on your email.
Did you try putting in like more categories?
Yeah.
And just see if maybe that works. Sorry, we do this show live, and we do everything from our app, and yeah, it's up on the app.
It popped up now?
Yeah. Under Deep Love Tarot. Maybe you want to put it under Leo King too.
It is under Leo King. That was the first one.
But yeah, it's popping up.
Cool.
But do you have it under subscription, or do you have it for free? Because it says get access to it. So maybe that's your issue.
No, it's free for everyone. All right, there we go. It is up there now. Very strange, but we are back.
Yeah, very strange. For me, it still says get access, and then it won't play. But maybe, I don't know. Long story short, you got to figure things out. Even like situations like this, instead of doing the satching, being like, oh, it's just okay. Let's just roll with it. Like Gemini's like, no, let's figure this shit out now. You're going to get a better result. Even though it might seem like, well, I'm going to waste time. No, we just wasted maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes, opposed to Craig and I might be up all night figuring out something stupid, and then, you know what I mean? So let's go into the collective reading right now. If you've never watched the show before, by the way, we do a collective. Then, of course, I'm going to do the astrology real quick of that. Then, of course, we're going to do the tarot. And we use the high vibe red cup to do your zodiac signs. And then, of course, through every reading, we also have the astro dice. Collective-wise, well, this is a major week for the relationships with a full moon in Scorpio. We just talked about the nodes coming into this. So if anybody does tag this video, probably start the collective reading at the beginning of this whole thing. This is definitely going to be a major shift point in our lives with the full moon in Scorpio, trining over to Neptune in opposition to Mercury, because we have to weigh out the things in life that we need. This is about our needs, our wants, whenever you're mixing the Taurus and Scorpio axis. But with the full moon in Scorpio, it's the worst place for the full moon because the moon is at its worst position in Scorpio. It's at its fall. So this is where people are falling emotionally in obsession with things that might not hold the emotional weight and value to the true Uranian, Mercury, Sun, Taurus energy that's saying, let's have a better version of life. And so you have to confront, and with a big trine to Neptune in Pisces this full moon, there's also some very unique aspects on this full moon. I think there's a quintile with it. There's some really weird angles. This is not a normal full moon, especially with the way that the planets are all stationing, Jupiter, Venus, and Saturn. There's something to say about, like, this is a moment for you to go, am I obsessed or am I having issues emotionally letting go to rise to an elevator to a better place in my life, especially because we're talking about love. You're going to have to put love is going to be stress tested with people. If you're dating, if you're in a relationship, even if you're single, it might be that you're obsessed with, I don't know, your video game more than going out on a date, you know, whatever it might be. Or maybe you're more obsessed with being a recluse. You're going to have to look at where are you too emotionally gripped on a position and not willing to change. And this is transformation at its highest. We said on the thing, I think I said gnarly. It's gnarly because Saturn comes retrograde right as we come on the 11th on Monday. And then Jupiter and Venus, the two benefics, the two brightest energies, go retrograde. Right after that, on the 12th, 13th, right there, bam. So bam, 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 3 planets, the 2 biggest, and then Venus, which is one of the rarer ones, the second rarest one to retrograde because Mars takes the longest to retrograde, and second place is Venus. And this one hasn't happened for 8 years in Gemini. And this one's with the North Node, which we haven't seen for over, even the 1996 one didn't have North Node Gemini. So now you have to go back to 86. Or wait, yeah, it's 8 years. Like 88, which is the same year that Mars retrograded in Aries.
It's a supermoon too, right? That's coming up, or it's something special about the moon, right? It's the last one of the year. I don't know. I saw like a meme.
Oh, well, you know, it's funny. You know, me and this whole, like, you know, super moons and blood moons and harvest moons and blue moons. And what are they going to do next? Blue ball moons? Like, that I go off the astrology, right? So it's like, this is all, what's big deal about this moon is actually, let's go into real astrology instead of these memes and super moons and This is about the intensity of the planets with this lunar cycle, but the next full moon is a lunar eclipse. We're going to have 2 lunar eclipse full moons this spring and December. And then we have a solar on the solstice, June 21st, right in between. So this is the last full moon before it's eclipse time with all the retrogrades, which is going to be either insanity because you didn't want to just bite the bullet and deal with the truth right now? Or do you want to go through fucking the Barnum and Bailey circus? Like, because Venus retrograde in Gemini square Neptune is circusy. And it's circus in a good way if you made your choices in your truth now of your needs and your wants and get in the elevator so you have a good seat at the circus, or are you going to be on the ground floor where the peanuts are being fucking, you know, all over you and feels like you're at Pleasure Island with Pinocchio. Like, that's what this reminds me of. This reminds me of, like, let your conscience be your guide. Like, Scorpio is going to help you do that, but that moon has a problem there because it's fall. It's like too obsessed. Like, but I don't want to. I want to go to Pleasure Island and go smoke a cigar and hang out with, you know, whatever his name was, I forgot, and then basically turn into a donkey. Like, that's not a good place to go. Like, it looks like, because that's the hopeful part, right? Like, oh, Pleasure Island looks great. Because you're denying the truth of what you know is probably not a good place to go. And so this is going to be the test of who is ready to be real puppets or humans, let's say, and who's ready to just continue to wait till they get the energy of a crazy, radical next, I would say, you know, 4 or 5 month cycle that is not going to be fun in the sense that I've been telling people, yo, if you don't realize 2018, 2019, that when all the planets start retrograding in April into May, there is no new energies. Like you feel like you're done with whatever you came up to this point with. That's the story. And with the nodes doing this right now is a new book. Okay, this is a new book and it's Pinocchio. It's definitely a wild one. And if you think the blue fairy comes like Jupiter only comes as the blue fairy at the beginning to give you the story. And then at the very end, she goes, oh, it looks like you guys did your job. Here you go. Like through the whole thing, no blue fairy helping through the whole thing. It was Jiminy Cricket who had to earn his star to get that star, which is very much more mercurial, like, you know, and you got to figure it out and it's going to be wild. And it's like, don't screw this one up this week, folks, especially with Venus square Neptune. A lot of people go, oh, that's just delusion. You know what it really is the delusion in yourself of what you're avoiding of subconscious issues that no longer are going to work. Like, I like to say that people like to throw sugar on fucking shit all the time, or people like to, in relationships, you know, let's go buy something new, or let's go move, or, you know, we can save our relationship by doing all these things. I am guilty of that in my past relationships before. We'll go buy a new car and that'll save everything. Yeah, for like a day. Like, this is that Venus square Neptune stuff where it's like you're running out of anything in reality and you're being forced to look at where you've been running on that subconscious like denial. And so, but it can be magical for those that truly are in spiritual alignment with the curiosity and the message of, and knowing what really is the truth and being honest with one another and seeing it all and being willing, you know, to do that. But it's like, you know, in your gut, this is going to be the biggest test of relationships with your gut. Like, is this a hell yes or is this a hell no, right? Scorpio, right? Ain't no part. The only reason why it's a Scorpio party, right, baby, is because you're either all in or you're all out. You can't go to a Scorpio party and be like, I'm kind of happy here. All the Scorpios would fucking kick you out. Am I right?
Hell yeah, brother.
So let's see what the cards have to say. There's so much in the astrology. I mean, that's why the collective had to go a little bit later, or longer than normal, because this is a lot. And I haven't even covered everything. Mercury sextiles Neptune. Another intuitive hit with the mind. And with Mercury now being the dispositor of the North Node, because the North Node is exalted in Western astrology and Gemini. It likes it. It's ruled by astrology. And with Mercury and Neptune making a sextile, you know the value of what you could have. You already know. Mercury and the Sun right now, as we're talking, are conjuncting on Monday. There's this denial or this total knowing. That's what it is this week. I'm in total denial and I'm going to build my own story that is built upon a sandcastle that's about to get washed away. Or I am in complete understanding and I'm willing to, whatever it takes to do that, I will do that. I'm willing to commit to that. I'm willing to end that. I'm willing to, that's where it's at. Because this is like coming out of a story where everybody blocked the true emotional needs. One, if you were in a relationship, you might have blocked it because you were like, I don't really feel it and I have to block it. It's almost like how couples used to sleep in 2 twin beds, separate. Or maybe you and your partner have actually been sleeping in different rooms. I hear that one a lot more lately than I've ever heard of. I'm like, what? You guys were like living together for years and sleeping in different rooms? You know, this is where it's like those systems of control to try and say, well, we've got control. We can fix this. Just go over there, or build your little guy room and you build your girl room, or whatever, like all these kind of things. Or I need space, so I live on my own and you go live on your own, or whatever. All these little things that don't make sense anymore. Sense, logic, Gemini, it's going to come to a wild subconscious freak show, which we already are seeing in the world and with people. And this brings up mental health issues majorly. Because whenever you're dealing with Gemini and you're dealing with now a North Node, and you're dealing with Venus here, and you're dealing with it squared to Neptune at 20 degrees, this is where people become psychotic, right? And so you don't want to go into this craziness next week because you decided to not be real and try to be hopeful and try and get through something that the writing's all over the walls, because that will create a more psychotic situation for yourself and maybe the other person too. So just preparing people for that shit.
Hey, good thing, tomorrow we got deep astrology. So if there's any further questions, you're going to be going in depth, baby. In depth.
Yeah, let's see what the cards have to say for this week. We did get, that's 7 of Pentacles. It's like, are you going to start harvesting your rewards by actually, tending the garden of the one that you want to? Or are you working your butt off and not getting any reward? Like, what's the point? Like, I'm going to be honest. And I always like this card because it always reminds me of I haven't used it for a long time, but I just moved, right? Like I just got moved out of my place in LA. And it's like, they even say you're going to have to pay a $150 cleaning fee. So they're like, you don't need to sweep, or you don't need to, Swiffer it. We got it. You're paying for it that already. It's guaranteed. You have to. So it's like, why would I spend extra time to go, I'm going to do all this work right now and get dirty and get the dust in my hands and do all this shit for them that are going to go do it anyway? That's the only time in life, I'm kind of yeah, I don't need to do this. Somebody's, my deposit money is already paying for that. So it's almost like people need to really look in their love life this week and be like, am I just kind of doing a bunch of this work to try and stay in something, but I'm not getting in my return? Am I investing in a stock and I don't get anything back? And this is a full moon in Scorpio, so it's going to definitely deal with that feeling of what you emotionally invest in. And do you get anything physically back? The challenge card we got is the truth card. Oh, woo! I almost feel like back in the day we used to throw the bomb drops. This is a bomb drop week because the challenge is dealing with the truth. It's if you're in denial of the truth and you're going to go build off a denial of the truth and build off a false truth, oh my gosh, there is no harvest. But I don't know, you used to garden. What happens if you try and harvest something that won't harvest? You get mold on it, you get what, crazy spiders?
Well,
that's natural.
There's two sides of it. If you try to harvest too early, then obviously it won't be ripe, or what I was harvesting, it won't have the same potency of it. If you wait too long to harvest, then that's when the mold comes. That's when you have the potential of having mites and everything. So there is that almost perfect moment of having to know whether that's your intuition or just knowing through situations in your life as to when to cultivate.
Yeah, because I feel that, isn't there some parts, do you ever have a crop in life or whatever you're growing and be like, hey, you know what? This one's not going to work. Why am I going to go put a bunch of energy into this? Maybe it didn't sprout correctly and it kind of grew weird and it doesn't look like it's going to, bloom correctly.
Yeah, that could definitely, where you have to kind of pay attention to the very beginning stages, and that comes back to the relationships also. If it's, not a strong foundation, doesn't have a strong root system, then it's going to struggle to grow. It's going to struggle to bloom and be a successful plant or relationship or individual in your life. So it is those beginning stages that you really have to pay attention to so that you can set yourself up for success at the end of the season or in life.
That's what this is going to be. Because it's if the truth is this crop that you've been already working on and the stages didn't work and it just didn't work out, and then you're being over hopeful and you think you're going to get the harvest, you're not. And then how depressed, it's more depressing to deal with it on the back end at the end, right? Than just cut your losses now and start new, or focus on maybe if you have a full garden of different flowers or plants or vegetation, whatever it might be, go focus on where in your life the relationships are that have that. Like, and you can grow something amazing. Maybe you might have to change gears a little bit, right? But it's like, maybe you thought you were doing an apple tree. Now you're doing a cherry tree. Like, well, that cherry tree is doing really well. Like, that makes sense. Like, I'm going to go do that. But you were too attached because maybe you always wanted to be an orange tree farmer. You know what I mean? Like, maybe you always like wanted a person that was like that, but really it doesn't work.
Yeah, there's always a point in life where you can kind of cut your losses to an extent before you fully committed into any situation, whether that is growing something or, tangible, or growing a relationship. There's that point where we're not fully committed yet, fully invested within that relationship. And that's the point where it's like you kind of have to make a decision and say, okay, am I going to ride with this even though it's not the most stable because it's showing issues already? It's showing signs of, deficiencies, and it's going to take a lot more work to kind of fix those and to right the ship almost, as to where you could almost cut your losses and start fresh, start with a healthy foundation and pick up from there. Because if you don't, that's just going to potential to ruin every other crop that you have, to ruin every other relationship that you have if you do just let something fester and grow and continue with it,
Damn, this full moon Scorpio is bringing out the deep shit out of Craig tonight. That's deep right there. That's the truth, though. I didn't even think of it that way. That ruins everything. By being not in your truth and not dealing with the truth, like, that's going to ruin your relationship with your friend. It's going to ruin your relationship with business partners. It's going to ruin everybody's situation because your toxicity and your energy is not living in that truth. Like, it's not going to go well that way. Let's see what the outcome card we got is. The Six of Wands, which is victory. So, oh my gosh, if you can face the truth and you go for what your truth is and what you want to harvest, this is the victory card. Six of Wands upright. You come into town, you get the praise, but you also, you and yourself know that everybody's excited that you came back from the journey and you were successful, and you feel great. There's a feeling like, gosh, I finally got what I really wanted, the recognition. And it's not an egoic one either. It's a much more like, I don't know, it kind of reminds me of like Falcor with Atreyu a little bit, right? Like, they come back like, yeah. Fuck yeah, Falcor. Fuck yeah, Atreyu. And the way we get through this challenge is the Gemini. Oh, how interesting. A truth card with Gemini. These two are, I don't even know, they're two in the same. But it's about like what feels like the true energy, which Gemini is two pillars, right? Which is the two pillars that cross each other, which is the twin. It's like, what does feel more like your twin energy? If you're going to be around energy that doesn't feel like your twin energy, like, run. Because it's like, why? It's not going to be able to communicate or think straight. Why did we get that Seven of Pentacles? Oh, wow. We got the Page of Wands reversed. Yeah, it's like the writing's on the wall of like where the message just doesn't keep making sense of happiness. Like, it's like it just can't find happiness. It just can't. That's how you know the harvest is bad. It's like the message just keeps, like happiness isn't being able to be found, or you keep expecting this, beautiful package to come of happiness in the relationship, and nope, not coming. So that's how you know you're wasting your time. And when it comes to this victory, and it only comes from Two of Pentacles, you're going to have to actually change by stop juggling different positions and picking the area in which you're going to go of a relationship side. This is so Gemini anyway, right? Like, it's kind of like there's two sides of life. There's probably different areas you can go, whether that's single or non-single, or whether that's maybe you're crossed between two lovers, whatever it might be. There's this, okay, I got to stop juggling. Maybe just the situation. Maybe it's just a situation. Like, I'm juggling it all the time. It's like, if you're juggling it, there's a problem. And how are you going to get to victory if it's a constant juggle? The astro dice that we got are for the collective this week is the North Node in Sag in the 5th. How funny, the opposite place of where we're going. But this week it is saying for us to focus on the new or different opportunities of happiness in our life and the doorways that we're not looking at, because maybe we're too focused on pleasing other people and keeping that environment around us. We need to stop pleasing people, and we need to focus on our own happiness and look at those doors, because those are the doors that are going to get us to where we really want to go, instead of staying stuck in the same environment, pleasing people we don't even really want to please.
Yeah, I mean, I think we pretty much covered everything on that. Just acknowledge where the deficiencies in your life, are happening. Acknowledge those, and it's really time to make the decision if you are gonna stick with that and kind of fix that and apply, the knowledge that you've gained so that you can right the ship and go forward with it, or if you're just gonna cut your losses. But that's a tough decision that everybody has to make internally when it comes to love, when it comes to relationships, and it's hard. It's hard, but through those decisions, that's where we find our strength and we find out who we truly are. So
yeah, we're gonna do a sun sign first. I know we got 1,000 people. We'll do the 1,000 collective. We just did a collective, so we're gonna do a sun sign. Who is the lucky first sun sign for this week of the full moon in Scorpio? It is Aries. First sign of the Zodiac. The Aries. The ram horn. Life is a mystery. See, I was born with the nodes here in Gemini and Sag, North Node Gemini. So, I'm going to be 36. 36 and 37 years old are big tests in people's lives of that's your peak and you better make the right choice. So I'm kind of in that space where it's I better make all the right choices in my life right now. You know what I mean? So anyway, just a little astrology knowledge for you all, because after you go through your nodal flip, which is right when your Saturn return comes in, right? But you go through the opposition point right there at 28 years old, and then 28 and a half, you get Saturn returning. So if you notice, those people who have Saturn in Aquarius, your nodes are flipping now. You're opposite. So you're gonna have to do a big U-turn of how you've been doing your life and changing it, and then you go through the Saturn return. And then once you get past that Saturn return, and also at 28, you also go through your progressed lunar return of the moon returning in progression. So it's intense, 28 through 30. And then once you get on the backside after the Saturn return and stuff, there's a little bit of a moment there of okay, where you get a little bit of a pause, because then Jupiter comes to the balsamic phase there at 35, right? Because it's in the sign, Jupiter will be in the sign before your return. And then Jupiter returns at 35 or 36 right there. And then the nodes, the year of your Jupiter return, always click back together. And then bang, there you are. Jupiter's giving you the direction, whatever the house is, the ruler, and that north node. And it all has to work together. And if you don't follow that and you just follow the south node, you're screwed. All right, Aries, this week is going to be big shift, south node, north node shift, because that south node left Capricorn, which is a big deal for you because it's felt like you've been blocked more than anybody in the Zodiac. And so this is going to finally feel that you can free yourself, but it's going to be by communication. It's going to be by, go do the things that quickly, stop, especially if you just went through major blocks and you want to feel things. Well, go into things quick. Do things that you want to do. And love, go. Communicate. Say what you want to say. Get out of your same environment. Try new environments. And what we're seeing with this Taurus and Scorpio full moon is you are hungry. You're a hungry, hungry hippo. You're desiring connection. So go do it, Aries. Why are you holding yourself back from the true energy of connection that you want to do? But with the square from Venus over to Neptune, it's almost don't go fall into some sort of trap of well, I'm hungry, so I'm just going to eat popcorn and I'm only going to eat sour worms. No, eat some quality stuff here. Don't be a raptor eating candy all day. You did pull the Six of Swords in reverse. So why aren't you wanting to go to new waters and go to a new direction? It's some part of you keeps thinking well, maybe there's something I still need to keep to look at in a relationship or whatever. And that might not be a bad thing, but this card definitely is a card that says you have a fairy that's trying to take you to the better side of the waters where there isn't so much craziness. Why aren't you willing to do that? We'll find a little bit more deeper there because, well, there's your challenge, the shadow. Maybe you have some shadow work you still need to figure out, or maybe you're, a little bit obsessed still with something from the past that isn't going to allow you to move towards the new energy. And that could be in yourself, like you kind of are living this shadow life that maybe, or it's just like your own underlying feelings that aren't being released and it kind of is upset, but it's like, maybe it doesn't need to be so much. Maybe it's just about crossing this bridge to new energy and going into a new direction. But with swords, it's about a decision in your head. It's about environmental. It's about communication. The outcome card that you got is the King of Swords. Wow, communication is everything this week for you because that's the outcome. Like you need to stand strong and you need to be commanding of your mind's understanding of where you want to go, what you want to do, and what you really want to go to is going to take a mental shift within yourself and being able to be focused and clear on that instead of like all shadowy and still kind of like, even with the Six of Swords, it reminds me of kind of like a boat like that's going backwards, like in reverse. Like I was in boats a long time. I still race, I race jet skis. Like reversing a boat is not simple, especially if you have a rudder and especially if you have motors, like, especially if you have a V drive or something, like you just don't, oh yeah, I'm going to reverse. It's not like a car. Boats in reverse with the winds and stuff, you start going, I'm going to hit the dock. Like, why are you doing that? Let's go forward now. That's what you do best, Aries. Let's go forward. Stop getting trapped in your shadows of the past. You did pull the water element to get through that. You need to feel. You sense where you need to go, or just like experience your feelings and let them be instead of hide them. It's almost like Aries are afraid to just say, this is how I really feel. This is what I really want. This is how I want to be. I know what I want. I got that King of Swords. Why did you get that Six of Swords reversed? The Four of Cups. So this is a great card. Start thinking about the joys, the success that you can have of actually accomplishing some sort of celebration to have in your life, but it's on the other side, right? So it's kind of like when you get ready at a wedding. It's never like you just get ready and you're at the wedding, right? There's always that like, okay, we're at this hotel and we have to walk over there or we have to drive there or whatever. Like there's this celebration for you waiting in love, but you have to be willing to actually take the ride there. You just can't go get ready and stay in your shadows and then just like miss out on the party. You're missing out on the party this week if you choose not to. And I don't want you to go into next week empty. And you got the Five of Swords in reverse for that King of Swords upright. You're not trying hard enough to figure it out or just make a direction call. It's almost like maybe with this North Node Gemini or South Node Sag, I think that you're looking at too many things or there's too many options. Narrow everything down. Just narrow it down to what you know. You logically know, Aries, you're smart. This is what I want. This is what I need in my love life. This is where it's going to be, and fucking hammer it out. You need to try harder though. You're not trying hard enough. Aries moon, 5th house. Wow. You emotionally have to identify exactly what makes you happy and take emotional action towards it, but not reaction, but action. So it's not about being reactive to things, but it's about acting upon the emotional identification of what you really want to do and taking action upon those emotions, and expression of those emotions are very important, of love and happiness in a very powerful and happy way. This is like, I think, the biggest reset for happiness for Aries in their life that is possible, but you have to show up to the party.
Yeah, with that shadow too, it's almost like Aries, the potential of getting caught within yourself, not the expression, like sitting there and almost kind of dwelling on the shadow within yourself and playing off, how you brought up like the boat. So if you are going forward in a boat and you kind of just pop it into neutral and start to think about situations, your life is still moving forward. That boat is still moving forward, and you're probably going to crash and hit something and not know what's actually going on because you're too stuck in yourself. So you have to actually pay attention as the world that's going on around you, not just kind of sit within yourself and ponder, because we're continuing to move forward. Everything is moving forward. So progress yourself, pay attention to the surroundings around you, and get outside yourself a little bit. You can't just dwell in your mind.
No, you got to actually take the mind into the reality. Like, it's okay to build things up here, but it's like the Matrix, right? They always load the Matrix and then they go into it. It's like, you can't just take something and keep it in here and expect anything to happen until you you live it in life. So I guess we'll do that 1K collective reading now. We got what? There's people in here, right? Yeah. 1.2 thousand in here? Okay. Well, thank you for the 1,200 people being here. If you don't know what the 1K collective is, it's pretty simple. We're going to do a collective reading where you get to pick somebody in your mind, in your soul. That's better. In your soul, in your heart space. But you need to know this person. And I'm just going to put this one out there. I had a stalker this morning show up here at 6:45 in the morning. Don't know who they are. I got crazy emails this weekend of somebody being like, I love you. I'm going to be with you for like 25 years. Some crazy shit. I don't know who this person is. And we've had multiple people just start showing up here. I want to say no more of that shit, please. And it should have never even happened. I don't know you. I don't talk to you. I love you all as an audience. I love you all as tribe. But like, I have privacy in my own life and high vibe and my own personal home and whatever it is, that shit's off limits. I don't go into your life. I don't go to try to go into your house. And no, I don't know you. No, I am not your twin flame. Especially if we don't talk. Like it's like there's no way. So that's got to stop. And that's why I tell people on this reading, you have to be talking to this person. Literally. Not one line either. Like full blown, like you have been talking to them. Or you're dating them. Or this is a person that instead of this, what is this? This is going to be the scary parts of what we're going to see here in the world for the next 18 months. Or people living in fantasy and virtual realities of spirituality. So, no, none of that. Focus right now on somebody that you are dating, that you're interested in, and that you want to know, or maybe something happened from an ex, or that you want to figure it out. Whatever it might be, this person has to be real, though, and talked to, and emotions expressed, and they know there's something going on. You got to just focus on that one person. You can't use it on anybody else either, and switch it. 9 of Cups in reverse, so maybe a little bit of over-optimism or under-optimism. You know, it's one thing, you know, it's like maybe taking things too much to the excess. Like maybe you're like putting too much in and not getting enough back, right? So that's where the under-optimism can come in too. But there's definitely something that feels like it's really good, but you don't understand why it's not showing up good fully. The challenge that we got here is the gratitude card. So it's almost like maybe you're not feeling gratitude from this person, that they don't see your light, but that also might be a reflection upon you and the gratitude you might not have for yourself, or maybe you're putting yourself out there too hard and it's kind of making people feel like, or that person feel like, hey, like, you know, sometimes you try too hard, right? Like it pushes people away. Sometimes, you know, it's also the like maybe they don't appreciate you because maybe you don't appreciate yourself, or maybe you don't appreciate them back either. There's definitely some sort of like, this is just not turning out really good, and there's not a light to hold it to that's got the gratitude yet of it either. So maybe it's like over expecting too when it's just at a base level.
Could be like when you're, you know, when you're cooking anything, it's like you're not going to turn the burner right on, you know, say you're cooking with coconut oil, everything has a certain burning degree point. You're not just going to blast that oven top and just crank it to high heat. No, you're going to let it warm up. You're going to let everything melt and kind of go naturally in occurrence and go forward. You don't just want to gas it and just burn it right out the gate.
No, I mean, you know, like when you microwave, you know, you just microwave it and then you check it, and then you probably do another minute. We got the strength card up right as the overall. So this is a great card. This is about that right now with this person. The outcome is going to require strength within your half, but it's a tamed energy. So that's why I was feeling over excess or pushing too hard, because it's tame. Tame yourself a little bit here. Find your poise, but still have the power. It's just poised strength, poised power. And there is a sense of appreciation with the strength card between the feminine energy and the masculine of the lion, the beast and the human, right? Like there's this inner beast within you or them that maybe you're trying to understand. And then there's this beautiful other side, this human, you know, this human side. So there's a lot here that could be really positive, but it's got to find that mixture there. We pulled the lunar eclipse card for changes, how to get through this gratitude. It's going to take an extreme change. Either you guys have to decide on you're doing something fully. I feel like there's like not a lot of commitment energy here at all. So with this person, so it's like you're not feeling commitment. There's no light. There's no gratitude. You're not feeling from it. It would take an extreme change for this light to turn on fully. Like it's like massive. But I'll be honest, a lunar eclipse card is not the best of the cards. I'll be honest. It feels like it's almost like it would have to be like an ending, and maybe you are appreciating from this person the lessons they taught you. I'm doing my best for you all, but I'm going to be real with this person. I don't know. Justice card with the 9 of Cups. Like there's definitely an imbalance that needs to be balanced with the over optimism and looking too much at it in a way. And then 9 of Pentacles with that Strength card. So it's like the strength comes when you finally find your independent value within oneself. It's almost like you're not valuing yourself enough by putting too much in that's imbalanced, and they might, I'll be honest with you, they might be triggering you in a way where they know themselves really well, but they don't focus on enough of the connection either. Because Knight of Pentacles is great, but at the same time, it's only focused on oneself. So I'm just feeling that overall, this doesn't feel like an end-all be-all, and it feels much more like a lesson, and one that a Scorpio full moon would say, peace the fuck out. Moon in the 10th in Pisces. Yeah, this is a reality check about if the dream is real or not, or if it's business. Might be a business-related relationship that, has become personal. Or it might be, a controlling relationship that you're subconsciously not paying attention to and you're sensitive about, and now that truth is coming out, and maybe you're trying to control it too much, or you are doing every weird thing in your life to try and have it, but like it just keeps falling out because there is no such thing as control of people's love and stuff like that. Or you're trying to keep, or you or this person or together trying to keep the illusion of this presentation, or you're using this person as a presentation too.
Yeah, all we can do is kind of voice ourselves and voice our emotions. And if someone is interested, then they're going to give you that feedback. They're going to be in there with it also. But again, you can't force the love. You can't force any situation. So,
no.
Really, is it worth your time? I saw someone in the chat asking about the painting behind me. You will, you can contact Kim. She did this art and she's done everything around the stage. KimTabay.com, KimTabay.com, or you can hit her up on Instagram, Kim Tabay, KimTabay. If you want any quotes or prints, she has all that fun stuff. So just want to give a little shout out to her.
Little shout out. Why don't we see who the next shout out to the next sign is going to be? The next sign for this full moon Scorpio week is the Libras. Libra energy.
Alrighty.
Well, Libras, these nodes are switching into your 9th and your 3rd house, meaning you are in the weirdest environment ever. Meaning that your day-to-day reality of your environment needs to expand by actually expanding into environments that actually you're more curious about, instead of like playing the hopeful card of like, well, this environment maybe will change eventually. It'll change when you finally change it. And so that means relationship-wise, are you in an environment that you're bored? I'm going to be honest. Libras are bored. They're bored with their partner, or you're bored single. And it's not exciting enough. Or it's the illusion that it's exciting and you know it's not. So you have a wandering eye right now. And what's interesting is that with this Taurus full moon, Taurus sun and full moon in Scorpio, I mean, this is about your 8th and your 2nd house. Like, this is where you have to know, are you just attached to it because of money reason or a physical thing, or maybe they're providing for you, or, oh, I can't change anything because maybe you moved, right? The South Node just left Capricorn, so maybe you did an illusional move recently, or maybe you're realizing that you've been just playing the safe card when you should have been making the big moves towards what you really want in your life. This is in Uranus in your 8th house now, like you need to rise up to your true needs and learn as a Libra to get back to not feeling so bad about telling people like, hey, right off the bat, I'm really not that into you, instead of going through these 1-year, 2-year, 4-year, 5-year relationships and then fucking saying something. That's Libra's issue. And this issue's coming up big time now. Don't forget that with all this stuff that's coming up next week with the retrogrades, this Venus square Neptune for you is the stress of your reality. That's because you're not willing to expand your reality to the truth of what it really wants. Queen of Pentacles in reverse. So there's definitely some self-worth issues going on with you, Libra. Not really feeling, maybe also with your partner or somebody that you look at, or maybe you're just looking in the mirror and you don't think that you're good enough, or you might have a partner where you're feeling like, I don't really want that because I don't think it's quality enough. There's definitely something, and it's dealing with physical attraction. I'm going to be honest. I know I'm dipping deep right now into Libras, but it's almost like, it's like I'm not that attracted to that person that I'm kind of addicted to. And it's like I'm more addicted to the person than I am even the whole thing. I'm just addicted to the situation. I don't know how to get out of it. Why is that? The challenge that you got is the divine feminine. You're not listening to your feminine, of what that feminine really wants, that value. Right? It's like you're not listening to the needs. You're not listening to the comfort of the true comfort in yourself. It's almost like you're operating or even allowing, let's say if you're feminine energy, more like male or female, like if you're operating from that space more, like it's kind of not running right. And so maybe the masculine's leading right now and you're not feeling like a queen, and maybe you might even feel like this person really doesn't really see you fully. Didn't treat you fully well. The 9 of Wands upright is your outcome. So, it's almost like you're trying to defend a relationship or hold the ground or protect this ground. But is it worth protecting? Are you going to be the guard at the gate and behind it is nothing? It's like kind of funny, right? Like when you go out to the farmlands, like people who own property, they just put up like a little, barbed wire just line with just like a post, and that's it. It's like, okay, if they're gonna go run on my land, they're gonna go on my land. But you go to like a place with like a huge mansion on it, they have like cameras and they have huge walls and right? It's like, are you having these huge walls and all this stuff and you're defending this whole position, but back there's just an open field that you're not even that attracted to, and you're like, I don't even like the land, or I don't even know. That's a big question for you this week, Libra. Your outcome to get through the challenge is Saturn, the truth. Oh, I knew it. It's like you are dealing with a hard truth that I think is finally popping up this week, because I think that the denial of the emotional stuff over the last 18 months no longer will work. Now that Saturn will come retrograde in Aquarius, which happens to be your 5th house of love, and Mars is there, you better take the aspect of the breakaways and the changes that you need to. You got the 4 of Wands with this Queen of Pentacles here. How are you going to get to the ultimate party? Well, when you feel like you have somebody you want to walk down the red carpet with. There's something about either a person you're dating right now or a relationship where it's like, you probably don't even like to take pictures with this person. You don't want to show them. Why? And you pulled the Magician card reversed with that 9 of Wands. This outcome definitely is saying that you're defending a position that is not magical. So it's almost like you think Disneyland's behind those gates, but there's no Disneyland because you're not in a position, or you're with some sort of situation, whether you're alone and you're not dating, or whether you're with someone, or it doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on. You're not stepping in your magical powers because you're not connected to the divine. You're not listening to the divine. You're trying to defend it and say, God, I don't want to listen to your divine truth. I just want to keep defending this and having this. And God's like, okay, but you're going to miss out on a lot, because there's a hardcore truth trying to come in to get you to the true feeling that you want to have, and the real thing. And if you want marriage, or if you want children, or maybe you're involved with somebody who is married, you're married to, and you have children, and it's like, but you're not being valued. It's like, do you just stay on to that because it's a marriage and you're not being valued? Like, there's a lot of hardcore questions here for Libras this week. We got Sag, 6th house, and we did get Jupiter. So the lesson here is Jupiter in Sag is awesome. It's at its, it's at its dominant position, but it's in the 6th house. It's like, this is a time for you to actually focus on what specific doorways and what changes in your reality are you willing to make to have better luck, to have a better opportunity for your life? Because I feel like there's limited opportunities because of the fact of the cycle, or you're in a cycle. Let's say maybe you're dating, or maybe you're dating a couple people, or maybe you're in a relationship, but you're in like a reality that's so basic bitch status, right? I'm just using that as like I'm not a millennial, but basic bitch life. And it's not that exciting. It's not that door opening, and you got to figure out how to change that.
Yeah, I'm picking up just like a stuck situation, like a merry-go-round or like a washer machine, almost like they've just been going around the same cycle, like just pigeonholing themselves. In a situation is like, I'm a serial dater, or I'm not dating anyone, or I'm sticking in this relationship, and it's almost like you're just going, and it's not like a healthy cycle. It's like you almost have to get off and kind of realize, all the aspects in your life that aren't necessarily making you feel fulfilled, where you kind of lying to yourself and saying like, oh no, I am this type of person, so I'm going to do this. And I've only been doing it this way because I am that type of person. When in reality, you can change that at any point, but you just have to be willing to actually make that change.
Boom.
Ba-ba-ba-booey.
We got Cancers.
Woo.
Give me some of that Cancer vibe.
Crab people.
So Cancers, I know you're like, yeah, the South Node's out of my relationship house, and the North Node is now out of your sign. But now you deal with it in the 12th house with Gemini and the 6th house with Sag. So this is like, are you ready to finally let go? Because the irony of the North Node when it's in your own sign is like the ego. It's like, oh yeah, I'm getting everything I want the way I want to see it all the time. And then with the relationship stuff, it's like, well, no, it's balanced, but it's really not. Now the 6th house comes and it's like, oh, well, I'm going to try and maintain this as best as I can, as like, I'm going to make it a machine and that'll go well. I figured out the tooling it needed to restructure this relationship and it will work. It's like, are you ready for a Venus retrograde in the 12th with a North Node in the 12th? You've never had this. Most Cancers have never had this in their lives. 12th house, endings. Past life karma coming to its peak. Squaring over to Neptune in your stories and your beliefs, and it's squaring it. It's saying it's like, this is a false belief. This is like not going to go the way that maybe you might see it. But positive wise for Cancers, it's like, if you're going to get rid, if you're dating or if you're in a relationship or if you're single and you're going to get rid of the ones that you keep building these stories and it's like not coming to that place and it's imbalance and it's not there with this Mars and Aquarius, it's 8th house. It's like, it's time for you to make the truth call of your deepest needs and wants and actually execute it out. This Taurus full moon is your love full moon. It's in the 5th house in Scorpio, but that's the issues with Cancers. You guys get over emotionally attached. So much so, because the moon is at fall in Scorpio, that your full moon of love is like, that's why you like to take care of people. That's great. But is it good enough to actually be to the place to where actually you're getting the world that actually makes sense for you and actually get the feeling of the quality of the life that you really want? So it's like Cancers can get really a big wake-up call this week of like, whoa, this 12th house thing's in. I have to like go through let goes, because that's the first thing is the 12th house is like, nothing's going to go well till we let go of everything that isn't working in life. Not 6th house where the illusion in Sag is like, no, it's operating good. Like, I got it all figured out. I got this whole like, hamster on the hamster wheel now. And all I got to do is like hit him on the head in the morning and give him his breakfast and make sure I text him only twice a day. And then he'll give me a little attention before I fall asleep. And then he rolls over and falls asleep. But at least I get that. Oh. Ay. So there's a lot, wake up calls, and you got to ask God and you got to listen to your signs. And You got to get out of fairy tale and get into the true fairy tale, which is one that doesn't have any buddy that can't even hold a fairy tale story. And only go towards ones that do. And also maybe if you found that person, you got to do some deep spiritual work because there's still something off. So you got, either got to reconnect with spirit or, whatever, belief system you had. Like, sure, it might work in reality, but what about the real spiritual ones? Are you guys on different areas of that? Hangman reversed. Are you ready to get unstuck this week, Cancer? Get out of these shitty positions? You've already seen enough.
You've seen it all.
Nature spirits. Wow. Spirit guides are trying to talk to you, but you're not listening.
Tree people unite.
It's like this reading. I don't want to listen to this reading. Cancers don't want to listen to it. Cancers even tell me in all the comments, you're so hard on me. I'm like, well, you have Jupiter and Pluto, and that's not even over. We got 2 more Jupiter Plutos in your relationship house with Saturn coming back in. So you're nowhere near over the whole, you're going through the hardest relationship transit than any other sign of all time. Just so you know. 10 of Swords reversed. Outcome. Can you finally get out of these? You know how Craig was just talking about repetitive patterns that was going on with Libras? Well, Cancers, you can get out of this. You don't need to just keep, sticking a same fork in it. But I think that, it's going to cause you to actually realize that you're just with the Hangman reverse and with that, and not listening to your guides are trying to listen to you to be like, hey, we can actually not have to live in this weird situation. It's a weird situation here that keeps repeating itself. Wow. You got Black Moon Lilith here to listen to your guides. I got a feeling with this. It's are you denying your guides so much that you're like, fuck you guides, I don't want to hear that. And then there's another part of this where it's you know what, guides, I'm going to give you I'm going to listen to it, and I'm only going to do what my guides tell me. It's that's the only way through. Wow. I really don't know how to put this one together, but I will, of course, because this Queen of Pentacles with this Hangman reverse is saying, you're only going to get the good stuff. You're only going to get the life you actually really want in relationships when you actually finally get yourself out of position that you've been hung in for too long and that you've been overly aware of, and the universe made you stuck to you can see everything. Have you finally seen everything so you can rise up to actually have the best position of self-worth and value and have a kind of relationship that you want to have instead of one that doesn't still fit the bill in some sort of way? It's like missing a back seat in a car or missing a radio in a car, something off. And you pulled the Temperance card for this 10 of Swords in reverse. So it's almost like you got to come back to a much more peaceful, much more beautiful place. And is that happening with these same patterns and still trying to approach the relationship in the same way? No. So you're going to need to go into some new approaches in the relationship, or there's definitely a lot of saying what are the guides saying? There's definitely a lot with this, this needs a major rehaul. And if you think that the rehaul is to stay in a pattern, because you have control of that pattern, that's the issue. You pulled the 10th house, Pisces, Mars. Well, time to make some choices that are subconsciously going to need to be broke through. Mars and Pisces is not that strong. It is good for learning to remove subconscious blocks, but in the 10th house, you need to make a plan, you need to execute it, and you need to grow up, and you need to step into your power exaltation of Mars in the 10th, right? That power of what is toxic and what is not. And you have to make a choice of your identity. Is it blurred and not getting to where it really wants to go because it's toxic? Ask yourself that question. I'm not saying that that's what it is, but you have to still ask yourself that question and answer honestly from your heart and your soul. Ooh.
Hence a little getting out of their own way almost, and being stuck in one thought process. And you said it's like listening to your guides, listening to your intuition, and kind of stop fighting the universe and actually just pay attention to the signs that are being presented to you, whether that is, positive signs or negative signs. They are a sign nonetheless, and they are a sign of change that you can achieve. But you have to be open and willing to listen and to actually apply that change to your life.
Yeah, and I think it's hard because it's almost like it feels like, Cancers right now could probably help their friends or anybody else, but they have to listen to God now fully on their own advice that they use God to give to others. Got to do it to yourself now, Cancer. 12th house. I'm talking to 12th house sun. My whole life is in the 12th house. All this work and no physical reality, you know. Like people are always like, is your life crazy? It's like, yeah, my life is, because God's always testing me every second of every day, throwing weird situations at me. And then I don't really get a 6th house like reality benefit of it. Like I just am constantly like in a washing machine in my life. Washing out anything not spiritually toxic and staying in that place spiritually that's in alignment with the work and the mission, and anything that's not on that, it's not going to work. It's got to go. God will just be like, that's got to go. That's got to go. God's life that gives you life in this life is constantly like, that's got to go. That's got to go. And people are pretty lucky. They only get cycles of the 12th house. Unless you're 12th house sun Cancer, you know, guess what? Like, it's just like, this is your moment where you're having your washing machine the next 18 months. Time to get it. And you love the washing machine. Oh man. But imagine if it had no soap. Imagine if the water didn't have nice filtered water and we were taking the water from a muddy river. Would you wash your clothes in there? Got Virgos. Virgo. Little Virgo energy. I know. It was, this morning was not fun. Like really like felt intrusive in my life. I haven't been able to shake it off. All right. Well, Virgin, the nodes are now shifting into mutable. You're mutable, but it's the 10th house north node and it's the south node 4th. I can tell you on this one, it's time to grow up and it's time to stop getting bored with sitting around in the same emotional energy all the time. This can become moody. So, you know, searching for an emotion is only going to come by actually going into reality and making choices and figuring it out that way. That you don't know what the emotion will be until you go experience it by actually executing some sort of idea or plan. And that's where Virgos do the best, right? Like if you're in a laboratory as a Virgo, right, or a scientist or something, like it's one thing to have a hypothesis. It's another to put that hypothesis to the test. And that's the issue, is like you keep living as if like you have a hypothesis and that you think it will automatically work without stress testing it. You're afraid of the stress test and executing that. You're afraid of actually taking in a relationship like, well, not emotionally, it's not right here. Like, let's actually make a plan and execute something different and try something different. It's like almost like, I just want to just be positive emotionally. Like, that's not going to work. Let's just be positive right now. No. Wow, it was a sign. And that Venus square Neptune in your sign, holy moly, right? Like, or in your 7th house of relationships to your 10th house. I mean, this is definitely bringing some really weird decisions that are very hard to figure out in your relationship life right now. And it also could feel like you're not being valued in your relationship, or maybe your partner might feel that way. There's definitely a lot of crazy relationship stuff for Virgos right now. And especially it's like odd. It's like you feel odd about relationships. And a lot of it is about whether or not you're going to do the Taurus and Scorpio thing. Like, are you going to communicate? Are you going to start to experience new situations, open up new ideas, new doorways, and are you going to communicate them, or are you going to stay in the same place and just try and stay comfortable and just hope that something will come and save the day and rescue it all, or repatch and fix everything? No, that's not going to happen. Even if you're single, not going to happen. You have to go towards it. You got the Knight of Cups in reverse. Definitely you're not walking on steady emotional waters right now. It's definitely muddy, and it also could feel like the bottom's about to drop. So there's definitely a moodiness, but there's also, I would say, a very deep emotional insecurity right now where you sit in yourself and where your relationship might sit, or as a single person, you might feel that way. And if you're also wanting to kind of cross-watch somebody, if you're a Virgo right now, and like you're like, oh, but also what about my partner or whatever? It's like they don't feel emotionally like things are moving forward in the right way. Or somebody that you're dating that you're excited about. Wow, this veiled card pulled up for your challenge. It's definitely your issue, that your challenge is that you're way sitting behind your greatness. You're way sitting, you're kind of drifting now away from even like the love department itself. Like you've gone into like another building. Like we're not even in love anymore. And we're now going into like depression or fear or lost or bored or like, I don't know. I don't want to reveal my pain too. Well, I got the Five of Swords upright. The overall outcome is you need to try harder. You know, this card kind of reminds me of Joan of Arc, you know. Sure, she might have scared a lot of people, supposed to be men at that time, being a feminine and being literally one of the greatest warriors of all time. Especially at the time period too. Like, you know, they always talk about when women had the right to vote here in America. It's like, we're talking about, you know, like almost half a century, over a half a century ago. Joan of Arc is around, standing up for her country, standing up for and encouraged her country, men, to actually feel like they could get their country back from England. Like, you have to remember that, like, Five of Swords, it might be, yeah, you're trying too hard and stuff, or maybe it's jealousy that you're not trying hard enough, or maybe, but your overall outcome is that you need to put some effort in. Think of Joan of Arc. Like, she just didn't sit there emotionally and complain, like, you know what? Maybe England will just return the land. No. Wow, the way you get through this veiled energy is you need to expand. You need to be positive. You need to open up. You need to express yourself by going on a different path, by believing in a path. You also have to look at your spiritual beliefs and your beliefs. There's a belief system here issue, or, you know, you're kind of closed up right now when you need to open up. You did get the Page of Pentacles upright. So, you know what? It's time for you to start to realize that there is an opportunity for you to build something good again in your life, but it's going to take some self-worth. But you need to remind yourself. You need to look in the mirror and remind yourself of what you've built, what you have. You need to give yourself that message. When something good is trying to come in, maybe a partner, maybe a new relationship that is offering you something, take the offer. Don't deny it. Part of this is denying things and being veiled and because you don't want to reveal something. You did get the 10 of Cups reversed as your overall card here with the 5 of Swords. So you're not trying hard enough for the greatest emotional life, for the happiness that you really want. It's like you're blocking that. It's like you're putting on the act that you'll do it, but when it shows up, you don't do it. No more acting. You just learned the last 18 months, South Node Capricorn, 5th house. Leos don't act. Like, we actually can act. We can only be our true heart. Like, we can't act being happy. You can't play that one really well in Capricorn. North Node in the 5th house with Uranus. Ooh, this is definitely going to be a freaking gnarly week. Actually, sorry, that's Leo Uranus. I thought, North Node and Leo look very similar. Well, bold expression in the most wild of ways. Are you ready for that? Are you ready to really show us how to connect your heart? Are you really ready to take some bold action? I know the Leo rules your 12th house, so you might be very timid, but Uranus is saying, like, unless this changes right now about how you're dealing with your heart space and your own happiness and how you know how to express love too. Are you having love problems? Do you know how to make out? Do you know how to kiss? I know you do. I'm not saying that you don't, but it's more like, did you stop that? Did you stop presenting? How many excuses are you going to build around your life? Uranus doesn't like excuses. Uranus is like, I'm trying to take you to heaven. Like, why have the excuse to stay in hell when you can be in heaven with love? Virgo's got to come back into love, because there is something here saying that there is a major disconnection that needs to be reconnected about the heart and happiness and expression of love.
Yeah, they have to know that they have the power within them, But you got to let it out. You can't be afraid. You have to actually tap into that courage that you have to kind of unveil these dark past or these dark situations that kind of been limiting you in your life, or limiting you in these relationships that you're so worthy of having, that can be the greatest success of your life. But it does come down to that self-confidence, that knowing that you have the power and knowing that you are worthy of it.
Well, and it's not liquid courage either, or some sort of other kind of like Neptunian 7th house thing, like to get courage. Like, well, maybe I'll just do some mushrooms, or I'll do this, or I'll do that, or I'll do. No.
Yeah, it's not checking out to find that courage. It's like knowing. It's like just knowing it. It's radiating that. It's being within yourself and having that confidence and letting that shine out. Don't just check out. Can't do it.
You can't do it. And I think that it's a hard reading, but it's actually not. It's like, just bring back out yourself. It's almost like you've locked yourself in a cage in your heart. Pisces, this will be an interesting one. People are looking at me like, why? I'm like, well, the malefic's in the 12th house, and now South Node's out of Capricorn and Sag. Ooh. So Pisces, you know what? You guys all know I do my whole, like, we need to have a talk, right? If you're new to the show, there's usually one sign a week that sometimes, and sometimes there's not. But I actually am kind of old school, and it's like, Grandpa, Papa Leo King here is like, here, we need to have a talk, Pisces. This nodal shift is immutable, and you're the most mutable sign. So this is a massive shift point for you, like to the highest degree. The reason why I say that is because we are having the North Node now in your 4th house and the South Node in the 10th. And I think this is one of the more harder ones. Because South Node and Sag, this is like, oh, I need to have a career. I need to have a job to fix my foundation, or I need fame, or I need a better position in my life, and that will fix my position where I'm at. No, your foundation now. Are you living in the right city? Do you have your home life figured out? Do you have your family situation figured out? These are things that you have to figure out. In Gemini, Venus is about to retrograde here. There's definitely home issues. There's definitely situations with not knowing where to live. And you think it's job with now the South Node. And now that the South Node's left Capricorn, it's made you aware of, like, you're around the wrong people. That was the whole 18-month thing. It came to a culmination point, especially these last 2 months, of like, who are the people that you know can get you to where you want to go? And who are the people that are just continuing you on the same path? And I think that this is going to be hard because it's like, this is about an entirely new emotional position to create a better foundation and home life for you, because it is Venus square Neptune in your home sign. And I think that this is even more difficult with a full moon in Scorpio, saying it's time to expand your life, but that means that you actually have to change your environment that you're around. And so you're extremely optimistic and will commit to an optimistic hope, right? Being an imaginative Pisces that you are, but is it in alignment with a better reality of your environment? And are you willing to have better life? Are you ready to figure it out? Or are you also doing the whole, like, I don't understand, maybe somebody can figure this out for me? No. Taurus is self-doing. So you have to self-figure out your own life. Anytime anybody tries to figure things out for a Pisces, it always goes bad. Because that's not, you can't ever tell a fish what to do. You ever notice that? You can't tell a fish what to do because like, you have to bait them, and even baiting them, they're a fucking bitch just to even pull up on the on a fishing pole. You know what I mean? And then it doesn't go too well. They don't like you. They have to jump in your boat when they're ready to. And so for you, there's this whole idea that you're not able to manifest the environment that you want, the home life that you want, and you're going to just over-focus right now on, oh, it's when I have a job. No. It's when you know how to pick your emotions and who you're around better. This is Jupiter and Pluto. This is Saturn retrograde with Mars coming. Mars is finishing in Aquarius. You need to cut out. This is showing you wherever you're at this week, right now, at this moment that you're hearing this message, you are in a place that is toxic. It's overdone, way overcooked, and does not have spiritual energy around it at all. Pay attention to that and truly think about that deeply. And you did pull the 6 of Wands reversed. So you're definitely in a place where you don't feel like you're in victory lane at all. So for love, it might feel like, you know, whether it's lost love or whether you feel like you're in last place in the NASCAR race, there's definitely the reminder, though, 6 of Wands is saying, like, get back out there. Don't try and tell me that you went on the journey and you didn't figure it out. Like, go go back out there. Like, don't tell me that you're done and you're just going to go back and just come into the castle and fucking go take a nap. Nope. Go back out there, Pisces. You didn't find your victory yet. Look at this. The challenge is the home. Not only in the astrology is it extremely saying that, but you're having really big home issues. There's some domestic issues here. How are you going to have victory from the position and where you're at? And then you're going to go, well, I don't like where I'm at, or it's impossible for me to change where I'm at. Really? Look at this, the Sun card. The expression of your true self comes from when you're in the right place. And you have the victory because you're not willing to quit. And what I mean by quit is quit on the best part of your life that you could have. It's almost like this accepting of, I'll take 6th place. Just give it to me so I can just get back on with my life. No. This is you missing out on your truth of your most core-souled self that you know you are. And how do you get through this home situation? Look at this, Pisces. Oh my gosh, that you, I don't know, that you're believing a lie about it, or you're in a place, Pisces deals with drugs. It could deal also with just like, you know, continually subconsciously like playing this whole, like, oh no, everything's good. But like, you know, it's not. Look in the mirror. Pisces are mirrors in a way too. They're magic mirrors. If you can't look in the mirror and be like, I am fucking so happy with who I am, there's a problem. If you keep having to alter who you are in the mirror, all you are is Snow White's enemy. And there's always a Snow White better than you. And it keeps popping that up. And that's because of where you're at. Like a fish in bad waters is going to turn into a bad watered fish. Wow. I don't really know, but this sorrow card came up. 5 of Cups reversed. You know, I think that you're creating a victim story that you can't ever have any wins, and that is a false illusion. You're picking really shitty situations right now. You pulled the Sun card with the Ace of Pentacles in reversed. How are you going to step into something new if you're not willing to actually be in your true self, that's your true inner child, and accept the inner child and be that? It's almost like being around energies, or even just like denying yourself of creating a great life because you don't feel that you can start over, or that you can't start new and fresh, when maybe that actually is the best way for you in your life right now. You pulled Pluto. 12th house. Holy shit. Capricorn. Well, if you're dealing with a Capricorn, definitely watch the fuck out, Pisces. It's like controlling. But then if you're dealing, just if we look at this as an overall thing, Pluto and Capricorn is letting go of the control that you're having about what needs to end. Like, this is an extreme tower card. Pluto, Capricorn, 12th house. Also learning to get what you want and to reach where you want to go only through surrender and through letting go. But there's that whole like, I can't let it go. I've put all this work in. Yeah, you put all this work in and it really has gotten you to a really great place, right?
Yeah, or maybe there was a traumatic event where you'd kind of been like working towards a relationship or building a trust with an individual, and that trust was broken. And is like kind of just getting back on that horse and knowing that you can work through this issue, knowing that you can get through this struggle and that it's going to be brighter on the other side. But you have to kind of get over that trauma and work through it in order to better yourself.
I like how you said trauma. There's definitely a lot of trauma, but it's victim trauma. We either play victim or we play winner. It's up to us. And with this, it's the home situation, it's domestic, it's the blurred lines of that. It's waking up and realizing like, how did I end up here? You know, But you knew the whole time, but Pisces can do the denial better than anybody. Like, no, this is supposed to go this way. God's taking me this way. But it's like, no, you were drifting down the wrong way. Sometimes you need to be a trout and you need to go up against the stream to get where you need to go. Only fish do that. Because fish can drift. Have you ever noticed when fish die too, they just are like floating and drifting? A little cryptic. Deep Love Tarot. Taurus. I ain't gonna bullshit you guys on this fucking major week. This is no simple portal here. Be real. Happy birthday, Taurus. Well, I'm glad that all of you guys didn't get euthanized like all the other cows in America. Maybe look at it as a spiritual euthanation. This is a beautiful time for you, though, that you can... And you know what? Relationships are a big part of your life right now, Taurus. It's the full moon in your relationship house, Scorpio, this week. Your opposite sign. But that comes with the node shifting into the north node into Gemini, your second house, which is your natural house, and the south node in the eighth. So stop with the south node in the eighth thing about fear, because you almost have created beliefs based off fear. Fear, 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 trust issue, fear, non-full connection. How are you going to build anything? Tauruses don't have fears when they know their value. They just, like, no bull has fear. Like, I'm just going to go into this. Like, Tauruses are not afraid of the red fucking flag. They run towards it. You know what I mean? Like, it's the running of the bulls. Oh my God, they're not afraid of it. They're after it. So it's almost like, where is that power to come back? This is, I think, an amazing time. But in relationships, it's like, you can only have the love that you want in your life if you step into that power, or if you're going to still be afraid or still be in that south node in Sag and start believing in ghost stories still and believing in horror stories, you're going to plague your ability to create. Venus square Neptune right now. Neptune's in your 11th. Knowing how society works, knowing how people work, knowing how to integrate into other people's lives. There's an issue with that. It's always about your own life, your own way. Well, that's your issue with Neptune. Learning to surrender that cows, when they come together, do a lot better than one cow. And we'll see. With these retrogrades, with Saturn in Aquarius coming, and Jupiter in Capricorn, and then Venus in Gemini by Monday next week and Tuesday. Like, this portal right here is for you to go build the best life that you can and get out of fear before you're going to be dealing with, you know, feeling locked in a job you don't want, Saturn retrograde in your 10th house of career. 2, Venus retrograde in your second house, self-worth issues, or that you're not good enough and all that stuff. Square Neptune especially, and not know how to integrate with people, because not integrating with people is causing the self-worth issue. And then you got to look deeply at, well, Jupiter retrograde in your 9th. Like, it's almost like your beliefs right now, or your idea of like all the big things that you want in your life, are finally going to come to fruition quick here if you're willing to. And if you're dealing with a partner situation, if you're in a relationship, you've got to like stand your ground and worth. And then if you're single, it's like you're going to have to learn how to integrate with people better and know how to socialize better and know how to get out of fears. The first card that you did pick is the 7 of Cups upright. So you're a little lost because you have so many options that you keep looking at. It's like you keep playing with your imagination here, your imagination there. Could be, you know, this is very wandering eye card. So it's like, you know, you've got a lot of ideas and where that you want to go, but you're going to need to narrow it down to what prize you want here. So I think that, you know, you've got a lot of things that you're looking at relationship-wise, or a lot of options in relationship, or you're imagining different positions about one person, whatever it might be, but you got to kind of narrow the story down here. Your issue is knowledge. It's your challenge. It's like a blank book. You feel like, I don't know how to write the story. I'll imagine it, but I don't know how to write it. I don't know how to learn from it. I don't know how to read it. I don't know how to create the story. Yes, you do. You're spending too much time on the whole, let me figure out it, instead of do it and be in it. And figure it out we figure, like when I wrote my magazine, it's 100 pages. Like I just didn't go, let me like think about what I'm going to write. It's just like, no, I'm just going to write. You know what I mean? Like you just write the story. You did pull the Page of Cups. This is a great card overall. But it's like, are you going to communicate your real feelings? Are you going to allow when somebody communicates feelings to you? Are you going to communicate them back the same way? Communication and feelings is everything right now. And that's where this is leading to, which can be Page of Cups is very positive. It's almost like the little chippery, yay! It's like Chip in Beauty and the Beast. Delivering the message, like jumping around. Like that's the place in the energy that you need to be in, but you can't be in that energy if you're still up, you know, kind of like up in the ethers and not willing to know how to write that story that's from up there. You did pull the Ace of Swords in upright position. So in order to get through this kind of like, okay, I got a lot of options, or I'm looking at a lot of imaginative energy, you need to put a sword in like, I'm going to cut it and I'm going to, you know, it's almost like a toothpick right now or a sword and be like, which imagination do I want? And you'd have to make that choice. But it also has to be understood on the other half of a partnership too. So don't make a choice and then be like, well, I don't have trust issues. Now you don't want to do something or da-da-da. It's like you have to like present more and communicate more. And you have to also in your head make a choice, because that's the issue. I don't even think it's as much communication as it in your head. You got the Four of Swords, okay? This is a card of maybe you just need to take time to accept positive emotions in life. Maybe you're taking too much time resting, or you're taking too much time where you feel like you need to heal, but you're not willing to have a good time, have a good message come. So it's almost like, I don't want to answer the door. The Amazon package is here with something good to make me feel better, but I don't want to get up and open the door. Can you get it for me? No, that's not going to give you what, you know, it's like, there's a little bit too much chill here. And maybe it's like looking at it like you can get more chill by actually having an emotional connection and integration in life. That'll give you the real rest in your life that you need, not the rest you need by denying the feelings of life and just dealing with horrible feelings that you're going through in your internals. You got Saturn in the 8th house in Aries. So boy, oh boy, do you have some big choices that you have to identify about your truth and your big, you know, it's like committed energy. What are you going to commit to? What do you really want? And you have to be honest about it. It's the 8th house. It's the house of sex, trust, intimacy, commitment. Like this is your commitment to the identification of what you want. Saturn is at fall though in Aries, remember, which means that, you know, it's not that strong there to build a plan unless it has an identification of it. Like if you're just going to try and just go, well, I want this. It's like, well, what do you want specifically? Well, you have to get specific. You have to get all the way to the deepest part of what you really want, because it's almost like you're revealing the face of it, but you're not revealing. You need to learn to reveal the whole stem of the root. That brings it all the way up.
Yeah, you got to acknowledge your true desires. You know, it's almost like if you're playing cards, you're just kind of holding on to it forever. And it's like, oh, no, I'm just going to pass this turn. Oh, something better is going to come. Oh, no, I'm going to pass this turn. Something better is going to come. And it's like, no, you have all the tools in your hand already. You just have to make the move. You got to play them down. You got to do it. You got to go for it.
Well, last year when we were in it was 1 year ago right now, you and I were sitting in, for how many years? 3 years straight. Yeah. We've always been out at Park, Arizona for the Park, Arizona races. And Carlos came last year. Yep. And Carlos is smart. That's Craig when he goes to Mexico and he comes back. He's Carlos in Mexico. And then he comes back here and he tried to in Arizona when we were gambling. Carlos has it down. Then we just sit at a machine and just put a little in and not really do anything, and then just keep getting the drinks to come on by.
Yeah, the bar is closed.
So
no new cup for me this year, unfortunately.
I forgot about that. Yeah. You always usually get the blue or the pink cup.
Well, you know, equal opportunity individual.
Equal opportunities. We got caps.
Caps.
The Capricorns. Got some good old Capricorns up in the house right now.
Halfway through. Making moves.
How are we doing in the chat? Let's check on this chat.
Last I saw there's like 17.
We're almost to 2K. We've renamed it to After Dark time.
People want to know what that the deck on the top right is.
Where?
And the deck that you're using on the top right.
Oh, this Tarot Illuminati?
Yeah.
That's what it's called, Tarot Illuminati.
Tarot Illuminati.
Speaking of Illuminati, Capricorn. I'm just kidding. Well, Capricorn's got a full moon in their 11th house and 5th house. This is love and the world and how does it connect? But with the South Node now in your 12th. So the good news, Capricorn, South Node's left your sign. Meaning that you just have had like the gnarliest resets of your life. But do you continue after you reset and try and load the programs that don't work? Relationship-wise? Love-wise? I think that Capricorns are in... It depends on the Capricorn. I think relationship Capricorns are definitely in a weird space. There's a lot to try and figure out. The reality's off, but you can't keep playing the whole denial game. I think single Capricorns are in a hard space because it's almost like, no, I'm okay to just keep going with the flow. It's like, no, you need to like make an environment, figure out a life of having a relationship. Like you got to figure it out. You don't want to waste this full moon in your 11th and your 5th house to be able to connect to people to bring into your happiness into your life. And it's also looking at the truth of like, are you connecting with people? But there's a lot of subconscious stuff. South Node in the 12th. Ooh, it's like almost creating the avoiding by a positive belief that, you know, I'm a Capricorn. I can figure it out. Like eventually it's like, oh, okay. But you're not going to have that in your reality now. So it's kind of like one of those, like, you're not going to get to your actual goal until what? Just one day you'll figure it out. Like, no, you got to figure it out now. And I think that that's a little difficult with Venus square Neptune because it's in your 3rd and it's in your 6th. Venus in the 6th in Gemini, the 3rd house Neptune. You know, that's stress. You're in some stressful, trying to figure out your reality, trying to figure out what's next, work situations. You got money stuff coming up with Saturn in the 2nd house and Mars. Self-worth issues. Do you value your partner? Do you even look at them and are you excited? Saturn came in and went, oh yeah, I don't really see that's not that great. So, good luck. Or you're just denying yourself of so many good things, Capricorn, like single and partnered ones. Denial of good things. Like, no, I'm just going to keep like living in this like situation where I'm not giving myself anything. And now I'm illusionally going to create that as a positive thing. Or are you actually going to look at the truth and be like, you know what, I need to change things and actually get the reality that I want by actually making it my environment and making it my surroundings instead of this over there. You know, like that's the hard part. First card that you got is, wow, the 2 of Cups reversed. Ooh, the soulmate card in reversal. Are you denying yourself a soulmate energy, or did you think that someone was a soulmate and they're really not? That's just the truth. It's a simple one. Where's the emotional disconnect? That's the big thing, and why? And how long has that been going on? Ooh, look at you, been holding yourself back. Look at this. I know it says meditate is the challenge. Well, the meditation is actually on learning how to get out of a entangled situation, right? Like if we don't calmly untangle something and we do it too tight, like we pull too tight to break something apart, like to try and like get cords or whatever, it becomes tighter. That's your challenge. It's like you just keep trying to hold on to a soulmate situation that is just emotionally desolate, or you're single and you're just cutting yourself off and you just keep pulling that tighter. I'm going to keep cutting myself off. Ooh. Your outcome card that you guys is the Hangman. So this is definitely going to put you in a place where you're going to feel stuck either way. But I think that it's necessary to see what the truth is. You know, a lot of people don't like the Hangman card, but it is the only way that we sometimes are put in a position. So God wants us to look around a little bit more. And maybe the more stuck you feel, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I see why now. Oh, what was I doing? Shit. Especially with this Two of Cups reversed and getting entangled in a challenge position. You're in an entangled mess of a soulmate situation, or denial of soulmates, or not allowing soulmate energy to come into your world. You got the Three of Swords in reverses, the Heartbreak card in reverse with the reversal of the soulmate card. So I don't know what to say, but it's like, this is already like heartbreak that's already been happening. It's not like new. It's like, this is like old heartbreak that hasn't been dealt with. So whether you're single and you still haven't got over that whole situation, that's why you don't bring on new stuff. And if you're in a relationship, you're dealing with some like really, really old, like long-term disconnects that have been crushing you the whole time. But it's like, are you going to finally like continue? Like, because the crushing's already been done. So why don't you just get over it? Because there's no more crushing left to happen in your life. That's kind of the irony. It's kind of like, you've already been crushed, but you're afraid of being crushed when you've already been crushed so much that do you really even have any more to be crushed left? Like, so actually maybe a ending of a situation here is actually going to be a lot more free. Why are you being stuck with the Hangman? Oh, King of Wands upright. Ooh, this is definitely that you're not in the power of your heart or happiness. But if you are, maybe that's where you want to be stuck, is in the heart and the ultimate place of your happiness and the power that comes from your heart and finding the true heart. But it's like, for some reason, the universe is trying to see if you really are in that place. Once you deal with the entangled mess, I forgot to see this card. Oh, holy shit. South Node, life debts, karmic. You're in a karmic entanglement right now. And it's in definitely energy saying like whatever your story is love-wise right now, it needs to come to a fucking end. I'm going to say that clear as I can. Like, this is nar. You got the Three of Swords reversed. That's the one card we don't want to ever see in a love reading. You got the Two of Cups of reversed. That's definitely owie. That sucks. That's the card you want to see upright. We got the South Node. We don't want to see that. That's karmic debts that just need to end. We got being entrapped, entangled into a situation of the challenge position. And you got the Hangman card, feeling stuck about it, but you won't be stuck unless you actually step into the true heart power that you have, that came last, that literally is waiting on all these hard cards. So I would say this is pretty difficult here, but it's not as difficult because I think there has already been so much crushed energy that's like, why would you even freak out about it? Like, you got Venus in the 7th house. Ooh, in Scorpio. Ooh. Well, definitely a death and rebirth and transformation and getting to the bottom of the truth and being honest in your relationship situation, or the other party needs to be honest, or you need to uncover your truth and they need to uncover their truth. You're denying yourself completely of relationships and you're empty and you're not receiving and you're blocking. And that's even happening in partnerships too. You might be feeling the block or you're blocking from them. Like, there's a lot of blocks. There's a lot of denial of coming together and to truly come into the truth here.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to also, just the denial of truth. There's nothing great that can come from that at all, It might fix a solution or it might fix an issue, kind of just like sticking a Band-Aid over it, but it's going to fester underneath. And at the end of the day, we're going to have to go back in, cut it out, get on some antibiotics, do something to heal it, when you could have just taken the necessary steps in the very beginning to write it off the bat before it got into those heavy situations that aren't going to work out, So lay it out on the line from the beginning, and that's going to save you time and struggle towards the end of it,
Boom. Pretty simple.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just straightforward.
What do we got here?
What do we got?
We got Geminis. So, Geminis are about to go. We have Aquarius, Leo, Sag, and Scorps left. It's an interesting combo. The Geminis. Oh my gosh. The Geminis. How you doing, Craig? Yeah, he's getting a little hot lap in. I'll give the Gemini horoscope here. Well, you have the North Node in your sign now, Gemini. Welcome to now having to pay attention to your own happiness and figure it out and actually get the nouns and actually figure out the exact noun. And this is where the South Node's in your 7th house of relationships. Uh-oh. Are you about to go through, are you ready to start believing that this one's hard, I'll be honest. Do you believe, are your beliefs causing relationship issues? Do you believe in a relationship, or then do you also take somebody else's belief or your belief from blocking a relationship? That's all the illusion stuff. Geminis remember create for their 7th house, Sag, either it's a good belief system where it's open, right? Because Geminis are pretty cool, right? They're open to things. But it's when Geminis start creating this whole, no, I won't look at both sides. It's this only. It's oh, really? This is you having to take a deep look at relationships, and there's a lot of karmic shit going on within your own belief systems. And now with this full moon in your 12th house sun, 6th house moon in Scorpio, reality and spirituality are totally in this whole I don't know, it's crazy. And I'm going to be honest, as I was just channeling that, my guides were showing a lot of tripping out. Okay? And it's a little bit funky here, because I think that this is Gemini's waking up whoa, I've never been here before. You haven't. You've never had Uranus here in Taurus with a North Node in your sign. This is your 12th house, and it's packed with a full moon in Scorpio. So it's you want this reality a certain way, but it's the whole lesson is there's a better road that you haven't got to, that you have to go with ease and grace and being open and being easygoing and not so 6th house, Virgo-ish. You got to get out of that, right? 6th house. You got to get into the 12th house. You got to be like a Pisces. You got to be free and easy and just okay. And I think that this is expectations, especially with the North Node in your sign now. It's I need to have it this way. And then that South Node there can also kind of take somebody along a ride. And it's usually taking a partner on a ride that doesn't want to go on that ride, but they'll just go on it anyway. You don't want bringing those partners along with you. And this is square Neptune, Venus in your sign. And Venus is going to retrograde in your sign. So I think that this is a holy, this is Gemini's holy, holy moment here. This is the holiest moment of your life about relationships. Because the square to Neptune's is this in alignment with your destiny? Or are you blocking it by subconscious triggers and subconscious issues and, not being in alignment, or totally just completely not looking at your subconscious triggers? There's so many subconscious triggers in your chart right now. You got Mercury, your ruling planet, in the 12th house. You got the sun in your 12th house. You got Uranus in the 12th house. You got a full moon in the 6th house. That's the hardest. Whenever you're dealing with 6th house, 12th house, full moons, that's dealing with your inner and outer, the reality and the spiritual world. And it's right now the spiritual world that is trying to show you you can have a better life, but there's this obsession with how you think it should look with the North Node now in your sign and the South Node in Sag, maybe radical beliefs or over believing or over hoping about how a relationship will be, or expectations of a relationship, right? Like a pope expecting women to only be nuns. So it's are you looking at relationships I expect my relationship to be only this. This is how they should look. And if they're not, and with Neptune squaring Venus and it's about to retrograde in your sign, it's is your idea of what you want really connected to the path, or is it in conflict? Do you have maybe the wrong path picked right now, and that's bringing in the wrong kind of partner? Or are you not willing to make a choice too of the path that you really want in your life? So that brings in partners that show you ways, and then you're unsure, and then you're just in the middle and you're all over the place. So this is like chaotic. And if you're in the blind, because this is where people will be in the blind and then they'll watch this video and be like, oh my God, I watched the Leo King's video on that week of May 4th through the 10th. And that's when all this like shit really hit and I was just not aware. It's like the blind, when they see that, this video, they're going to be like, what the fuck? How did he know? Because this is the harshest transit I've ever seen for a Gemini that you've ever had to deal with truth about subconscious issues, over-believing, not knowing what you want, getting lost in beliefs, like also blindly taking on just the most unorthodox, not good, not even in alignment or blocking by your subconscious triggers, happiness and love. I mean, this is where you're going to have to figure it out now by learning to surrender to the best in yourself and learning to be easygoing and open and free and know your path, and know that if it's not on your path, then make sure that that path is chosen in a pure spiritual place instead of a subconscious belief spiritual place. Like, oh, I only believe, right? It's like these over wanting people to believe in you. That's the South Node in Sag, right? I want my partner to believe in me. Why don't they? Well, because it's probably resistance to them. Wow. Two of Swords upright. You are definitely at a crossroads here. And you don't know which direction to go. It feels like you're blind, and you know what? Maybe you actually are, spiritually. Two of Swords is harsh though too, right? It's like it's put itself there. Like you've put yourself in these really weird positions to where you're at extreme, I got to make choices, and you don't want to. You're like, I don't want to. But then in a weird way, it's like, I will only make the choice if it specifically shows up. Well, you can't even see that truth. Well, look at this. Your challenge card is air. So definitely intellectually, you got Two of Swords and you got an air card. The mental aspects are insanely difficult right now if you're running everything from the brain. And that's hard as a Gemini with Venus in your sign and now the North Node. So it's almost like you're running a mental operation. Your partner might not feel like they're connected to you. There might be a lot of communication issues. Or if you're single, you're gonna be like, why are people like not understanding me right now or whatever? It's like there's a lot of, because of the insecurity of not knowing which direction you want to go in your life, or not just fully committing to a position. And you put the Devil card outcome. Whether this is you and the devil inside of yourself, or you're, with a partnership that you're on the fence about right now that's, is the devil. It's not right. It's dark. It feels off. I knew it. I just felt I even got anxiety. I got anxiety doing this reading. Because as I channeled the astrology, I'm like, fuck. If this was me, I'd be like, yee. Like, why are you connected to... It's like avoiding the most beautiful love story of your life to be connected to the most toxic one of either independent by yourself and restricting yourself, which is the devil, right? Like telling you not to love, or to a literal person who is dark that you are somewhat connected, obsessed with. Wow, look at this. Your way to get through this is you just need to take action. Mars. Direct action. Mars is in Aquarius. This is like your 9th house. It's about realizing that beliefs are your issue. Saturn's there too. This is your hard lesson for the next 3 years. Hey, maybe your beliefs are needing a new experiment because maybe the numbers are wrong. It's a lot like this whole thing going down in the world right now. Are you sure all the numbers are right? Are your numbers right about your beliefs and how you expect to live? Why'd you get this Two of Swords? Well, you got the Two of Wands. You are hopping and skipping around your belief systems, and you have this whole idea that you know exactly the world and how it should be. But that's put you in a position to where there's no way, because you're in a position to where you can't have the world exactly the way you want to be. That's an illusion. Like, there's always going to be something to where it's like, something's going to be off. So there's an over expectation, or it's like, I already emotionally know, and I have the passion in my heart that I know that this is exactly the way it should look. It's like, well, that's put you in a position to where you're stuck, because obviously if you did, you would already have it. You pulled the 3 of Cups in reverse with the Devil card. So this is social, like, pull out. And it's dark. It's like almost like you're not around energy that's connecting or understanding society or understanding people, or around somebody who is using you for positioning in the world, or is using you to pull you away from your life and control you. Or you're addicted to a person, or you're trying to only bring in a person who's at a certain level in society, but it's upside down. You're not going to get what you want except darkness, right? Like, well, it's like sugar daddy. Like, he can take care of me though. It's like, oh, do you know what he's doing right now to make that money? Or she? This is a rough reading. You're going to need one extra card here. I mean, your way through all this is just take action. Just put 100% force into what you need to do, and think about, get out of thinking. Just get out of thinking. And where it doesn't feel good, you got to run now, fast. You don't have time. This is Venus retrograde coming in your sign in a week.
There's one thing to like sit there blindly almost and like let this happen to you, and there's another thing of like acknowledging and being aware of the situations that you're in and actually making the changes to get yourself out of it, because that is the good part in all of this, is that you can acknowledge the change that needs to happen in your life, and you can apply that change so you can be productive, whether that is love and relationship, or whether that's just a relationship, with friends, and relationships with yourself. It's like you have the power to get yourself out of it, but you have to acknowledge that you are in like a muck and actually pull yourself out.
100. All right, we're pulling one Ganesha card.
Oh, Ganesha.
Oh, Ganesha. For the Geminis, can you help us? Do you have all of your deodorant on all those arms? Thank you. Childlike expression. That's where you need to go. So, but childlike expression comes from parents. How we're raised. Also, when you look at partnerships, it's like, does that person know how to have a childlike expression? If you're going to have a childlike expression and are you going to, or are they going to hold that away from you? Like, it's kind of like the test to see if, like, are you holding the childlike expression from somebody? That means that you're holding the childlike expression within yourself. Or it could be vice versa with the Devil card here. But I got a feeling it's all ways. Like, this is so complicated and so convoluted here. It's like you've got yourself into a place you never thought you'd be. And I think that it's all to awake you to, hey, like, make a choice that's the best for you in your life, and go with it. You're going to have to learn that lesson one day, Gemini. That's why you do have Jupiter and Pluto in the 8th house. Now the South Node just finished in the 8th house. It's like you were so blocked, especially when it came to commitment and trust. Now you have to actually like learn how to do partnerships correctly by actually like defining who you are, and like defining the kind of partners based in an area that's not based upon this over belief of how it should look, but based upon just who you are as a cool ass motherfucking Gemini, and accepting of people and being open to people, because you're the only sign that actually rules the true openness, besides Leo, of course, right? With Aquarius is the 7th house, super easygoing and chill. But the second you're not chill, Leo rising, and like, fuck you, I'm out. You know what I mean? That's like you too. It's like you're open, you're ready to, but the second that you become non-open, other people leave. Or the second that you become over belief on people, right? It's like, uh-oh. What are your astro dice? You pulled Virgo, South Node, third house. That's the issue. It's like you're living your whole life in this like little reality. It's tiny. This is like a tiny, tiny house, and it makes a tiny house look small. It's like you just like, you're thinking too small. You're only living in this is like stress. This is like being in an environment that is not good. It's not healthy. It's not making you healthy at all. You're in just a tiny space. And you need to expand your life. You need to be willing to go into trust by exploring Pisces, the opposite with the North Node. The North Node Pisces in the 9th. Carefree, easygoing, and let's just see what happens in the universe. And that's at least free open space. And keeping it open space instead of tightening and constricting. It reminds me of constricting in the bowels. It's like constipation.
Know your truth. Know your truth. Know your worth.
Owie, mama.
Don't get stuck. Dig yourself out.
That one was not fun.
It's like Wesley, in Princess Bride, when he gets stuck, he's got to climb himself out of the quicksand.
Yeah.
You have the power. You just got to it's going to take work, obviously, but acknowledge what you want to change in your life and actually just go make the steps and apply that change.
Yeah, that one was hard.
Hey, life ain't always easy.
I mean, that astrology though, Leo. That astrology though was very like, oof. Owie, mama. I remember I haven't gone through Uranus and Cancer yet, but man, I've been through 12th house shit like that. Leos went all through that shit fucking a long time ago. In my 20s. So, Leo, full moon in Scorpio with the nodes shift. The nodes now are weird. North Node in Gemini, your 11th house. This is about the royal court. This is about people. This is about you've found your light. Now it's about spreading it to the people. So, yes, you want love, you want romance, but it's only with some sort of connection to the right place in society, or a partner or love that wants to go in society in the same place as you, or have the same experience on the royal court, like having the same kind of energies in the world. So this is very good because this is a time for you to market yourself and present yourself and be part of the world. But that might affect love. So if anybody's jealous of that, that's not going to work for the next 18 months. But you're not somebody who just looks at people as to go flirt with when you're in a relationship, because you're a Leo, like you're loyal. It's like, no, it's like, I love you. Like Leos are obsessed with love. So there's this whole element of like you having to like court the world while finding a lover that understands that and wants to be part of that whole process. Well, it's difficult if you just go to love only. And then if the person doesn't deal well with society or doesn't know how to deal with people, like that's going to rub you the wrong way, right? They don't know how to be social. They don't know how to talk to people. They don't know how to put it together, what's best for the kingdom, and like, oh, we need to talk to that person. Big thing though is this full moon in Scorpio. The emotions are intense, and this is you letting go of emotions of things that are not fully connected to a path. This is 10th house, Taurus, Uranus, Mercury, the sun. This is you in like a mission, in a path, and this mission's ready to be marketed. It's got Venus there, and it's going to retrograde. So there's a lot of people. You're working through a lot of energies and a lot of different people, and or you're just dealing with the individualism of understanding how people work, right? And the square to Neptune is like wherever somebody's not able to show up, right, fully, you see that, and wherever you can't show up fully, you have to be honest about that too, and be like, hey, I can't show up fully to this. Because you're only looking for what you and somebody else will show up 100% for. And that's how Leos are, right? It's the most unfortunate thing, right? Because Leo rules love. Leos only know on or off with love. There's no like, well, let me build the love up to my grandma. Let me build up the love to this animal. Let me build up the love to the love of my life. Yeah, right. That's the hard part about being a Leo is like we're just lovers. We just fall in love. It's, you know, the whole idea of love at first sight is true with Leos. Like we can fall in love within 1 millisecond. I fall in love when I'm on ecstasy. I'll be honest with you, fucking on everything. I'm just like, oh my God, the 7-Eleven bananas are amazing. 25 cents. I'm so, thank you, God. So Leo with Mars and Saturn in your relationship house, yeah, it might feel hard about relationships, like hard to find, right? Like, Saturn's blocking it, or only because it's only going to find you people that are 100% connected to service to the world. And with Mars there as well, like you have to take action though on relationships. It's not about your life only. Like this is about you. It's not coming around for 2 years. This is the last week. And with all these retrogrades, Venus retrogrades in your 11th house. Who can deal with society and with a square to Neptune? Who wants to be part of a world with you all the way? If you're not going to get that, or you can't do that to somebody, not going to work. Knight of Pentacles upright. So this is a good card. This is about knowing your value. I know. Woo! Well, remember, Craig's Leo rising, Leo moon here. So you're dealing with a show with 2 Leo risings here. Fucking 9 of coins. Fuck yeah. It's like, you know what? Slow and steady and just moving forward as far as like, it's going to all come love-wise. Just don't freak out. Just know your value. And anything that doesn't show up for that, just fucking walk by it. Well, sorry. We got the talisman as the thing. It's almost like, where is the key to this very royal love? That's the challenge. Like, it's almost like you don't think you can find the key to this very unique doorway. Well, maybe it doesn't require a key. Maybe it's just by walking the path of knowing your value and knowing that somebody will just open the door for you because you're a king anyways and you don't use keys. There's another. Yeah, I love when they open the fucking at Parliament, when they open the fucking doors for the Queen. They're like, hold on, and they have the guys run, and they fucking and then the Queen, and then she has to. They have to unlock the doors for her. Like, okay, walk in. No Leo, in true royal fashion. I'll be honest. Craig and I went to a hotel when we were in Scottsdale. It was last weekend, right? And because of COVID, there was no valet and no bellman at the hotel. And we were staying at the Fairmont, which is like, 5-star hotel. And I literally freaked out for a second. I'm like, what? I can't just like roll up here and just say, here's your tip, and fucking take all the bags out and bring them to the room, and yeah, bring some ice and da-da-da-da. I was like, and park my car and da-da-da. I'm like, what? So it's almost like, are you trying too hard to figure out how to drive the car of love and trying to put all these bags away when that's not really your, you do that when you find love, but not to find love. That's pretty deep. 4 swords upright overall. All you have to do is really just chill out, but also somebody that wants to like nurture and take care of you and that sees that you go through a lot, that you've been on, because Knight of Coins is a long journey. It feels like it's been a long journey. A very long, slow journey to find what you're looking for love. Even if you're in a relationship, it could feel like, fuck, this has been a long journey. Am I still going through this shit? 4 swords here is saying like, especially in love, like it's like, where is that place of solace? That's what you're looking for. A place where you can truly just, it's a long journey. You're looking for a fucking, not a tavern, but a nice chalet to go take a nice rest and feel the goodness of love and life. Wow. How do you get through this whole can't find the key? Desire, fire element. Like, who's got fire and who don't? Who's going to show up with fire? That's the key. You can't find a key because nobody's showing up with the full fire. Like, or your partner's just like not fiery enough anymore. It's like, don't try and fucking unlock that. Don't try and like, you know what? They either got it or they don't. They either see that shit or they don't. But That's it. I mean, it's pretty simple on that one. Fucking like, that means that you too. But that's not an issue with Leo. I mean, it might sound crazy, but like Leo does not have a clock on when love starts. Like there's no clock. It's infinite. It's just like, oh, you can wake me up in the middle of like 5 a.m. and I'd be like, what, you need love? Fuck yeah. Fucking, what? Oh, I don't even care. I don't even care if I have the most important thing in my life to do. I'll do it. Oh, look at this. Is that 2 swords? Yeah, it's 2 swords. It's like debating on whether you want to keep going on this long journey or not. Like, do I want to stay single? Do I want to stay in the relationship? Do I want to, stay on this long journey with a person, or stay on this long journey as staying single anymore? Or maybe I just keep staying on it, or do I not? So there's a lot of confusion here as far as how long do you want to keep this story going the way it's been going? Ace of Cups in reverse. With the 4 of Swords, the resting house of solace, and the Ace of Cups. It's like there's this feeling overall that you have not found a place of solace. It's always like empty. There's a lot of empty emotional places there. And I think a lot of that challenge is that you keep trying to find this like weird, unique key that has the passion with it. Maybe you just need to like keep on the journey and not trip out. Like, did I make the wrong choice? No, it's just been a long journey, and the energy of the fire will reveal itself this week, because you don't need to do anything. You just need to just keep being yourself. That's all you have to do as a Leo. And this is saying that literally, you don't need to unlock anything. You don't need to figure out how do I unlock this person's energy and their fire. It's like, let them just realize that like they'd miss out if they didn't have that fire. Or if your partner isn't showing up, they'll know, because you'll be like, well, but trust me, people know when Leos don't like them anymore. They know, just because we go cold to them. But we never go cold in our life. We just go back into ourselves and our happiness. And they go, nothing worse than the king or the queen walking away. This reminds me of Will Ferrell and fucking the plums. Fucking. The sun in the 6th house in Sag. So this is about, okay, it feels like a mundane world, and you're trying to find this hope in a mundane world this week. And I think that it's like, what is going to show up that is willing to open up and make it part of your life, and you make it part of your life? It's like, it's not going to work unless somebody's willing to accept and be open to the reality or your lifestyle, and that you're willing to open up your lifestyle to somebody else too. Of course, there's change, so it's going to shift. So you can't be afraid of that. You got to be open to change, to your reality and how it works. And it'll probably go better. But it also is your own sun. It's a sun, so you don't need to change your whole belief structure here. You just need to own your beliefs and see the shifts of whether or not energy can understand, right? Know the reality that you're in, and be willing to be open to it and accepting of it, and be willing to integrate into it to make change. There it is.
Yeah, and don't settle, obviously with all signs, but specifically in this, don't settle. Either they're going to see the beauty within you, or they're not, like David said. It's either going to be there or it's not. There's nothing to seek. There's nothing to find. Reside in yourself, and you're just going to have to radiate. You're just going to have to be fully yourself, and either that love is going to come in for you right now or it's not. But you got to be okay with it regardless, because at the end of the day, you're not going to waste your time on a situation just because you want to have love in your life. You're not going to waste your time and energy on an individual just because you need it or you feel like you need it right now.
And it's going to come in a respectful way, not just showing up at your freaking private property without knowing who you are and just fucking demanding that you talk to them.
Exactly.
You don't do that to any king or queen. You don't do that to any Leo rising, because that's why we have moats, and we will fucking have crocodiles that will eat you. And little did that woman know, after the cops are called. That's all on my Instagram. You can watch the ring video. I would like to know who this person is, actually. But little did that person know that I was holding and I had a shank and I was ready. And that girl was trying to kick down the warehouse doors here this morning, and I was ready. She didn't even know. She didn't even know the crocodile that was behind that thing, which was me. I fucked that shit up. Scorpio, what the fuck? You know what I mean? That's my Scorpio that just came out. That's my Mars and Saturn. Like, I'll fuck it up. You know, you come from my fucking kingdom over here and try and fucking demand fucking to talk to the king whenever you want. No, you don't.
Not like that.
Not like that.
They weren't welcome to that Scorpio because they ain't no party like a Scorpio party.
Baby! Woo! I think we all need it because the full moon in Scorpio. We got to do for spiritual dance music on Thursday this week some sort of Scorpio theme. Maybe we got to do like all purple and black and shit.
Darkness.
All right, Scorpio. Well, it's a full moon in your sign this week, and the north node is in your own house, which is the 8th house, even though it's in Gemini. But like, this is about penetration. What happened to Scorpios being the penetrators? For some reason, you guys have become more of the, let's just kind of, you know, take the soft approach, the long approach. It's like, no. I don't know one Scorpio that was built to take the, let me just see here and let me weigh out the values. You know the values faster than anybody. Believe it or not, in your intuition. You already believe, you already know. That's why your second house is Sag. So the south node in your second house is, okay, you already know the values. So, but why don't you actually find out the truth if it's validated? It just needs to be validated. Like, think of it like school. Let's say you understand the whole class. Well, you don't pass the class till you take the final. All you got to do is go take the finals now. All you have to do with love relationships and stuff is just go take it to the final round. Go all the way in, and you can get out if it doesn't work. It's not like Scorpios ever don't get an exit plan. You guys can destroy anything whenever you want. It's pretty easy to get out. Even though to some Scorpios it's not. It's like, yeah, but I would have to do this, and it'd be, it's like, no, just trust me. Just like, if you're not into it, you just fucking, just Pluto it out. Just, you know what I mean? It's over. Bye-bye. So this Taurus energy is your relationship house with the Mercury, Sun conjunct. Then we're seeing the Sun in opposition to a full moon in your sign. So you have to like see, is your ego in the way of relationships? This moon in the first? Like there's a change that needs to be happening here. Like, are you going to allow a new way to upgrade in your life, to allow relationships in? And especially with that Venus and square to Neptune being in your 5th house of love, the magical love story, it needs penetration. It needs energy to fuel the imaginative love. If you're not going to put all your energy in and you're expecting this like spectacle to happen, if you're not going to wind up the wind-up toy and you're like, oh, I want to see it run around, or you're not going to put batteries in Buzz Lightyear and you're like, Buzz Lightyear, show up, and it's not going to work. You got to put all the batteries in too. Like not show up with one and be like, oh, I got one battery. So like, let's see if this thing works. It's like, I already know it does. It's like, well, let's see it. It's like, I only have one battery. It's like, I got to put them all. It's like, yeah, go pull. If you got to pull them out of your fucking remote controls, whatever you got to do, you got to put everything that you got in your life and invest to see. You're not going to lose your investment by seeing. You're not. Because Scorpios never lose their investment, because the only lost investment is that is not penetrated and not seen. Deep. Bam! You got the Sun card, baby, on your big week of the full moon. This is a childlike energy. Why don't you go have the blast and the time and the happiness of your life?
We've been crushing it lately.
Scorpios have been crushing it. This is a very conscious card, though, too. It's being very aware of your consciousness and realizing the only pure consciousness is God consciousness, which is love, which is happiness, which is purity, and having a good time. I know that might sound crazy, but that is God consciousness. It's like, just have a fucking good time and be a childlike energy and have the greatest moment of your life and ride the fucking horse into the open field and live your life and be in the sun and get tan. And if you start worrying about sunscreen, you start worrying about all that kind of shit, guess what? You're now getting out of God consciousness, believe it or not. Look at this, your issue is your psychic energy, which is your number one energy as being a Scorpio. So it's kind of funny here. It's almost like you're in doubt of what, you're almost like having a psychic block. Like, oh, I'm excited, but I am unsure psychically of where it's going. Well, that's what I'm saying. You're going to have to learn to penetrate. I mean, I taught my love school, which is available, by the way, all 10 classes, about 40, it's like 40 hours. About your love story of others, how to read charts and love stories, and it's crazy. But it's almost like in that school I taught when it comes to like Mars Scorpio or sex Scorpio energy, right? It's like you can start to know the better you are with intuition sexually. Like I can tell by a woman's nose what her what looks like, okay? That fast. And that might sound crazy, but you just learn these things. But like with you, Scorpio, it's like this week, it's kind of like, you need to see if that's actually true. Like what's, like what I mean penetrate in life, like you need to go into the relationship energies. You need to actually go in fully. Like you need to give it your all to know what's all in there and to see what's really in there and what it all really looks like. I mean, I used like a different way to view it, but that's how the psychic energy of Scorpio works for sex. Like they already know, like it's going to look good down there. It's not. It's pretty quick and easy. You pulled the Tower card reversed. Yeah, so your overall is like, I think that you're afraid to take on a whole new story. I think that you're afraid of the story that you have from falling and that it would cause a dramatic ending to something that's good, but I don't even think it's good. Like it's almost like you're blocking relationship life overall because you want to save something that really is already on the downfall, or it's already a down tower. It's kind of already feeling like it already crushed. So why not see what's there? Look at this. How do you get through the psychic energy? You pulled the Sun card twice. I mean, come on. You get the Spirit card, like that's love. That's just pure light. Just go into the light, go into the love, go into the happiness. Why go through this reversal of the Tower? Like why keep just like, it's like sitting like in a space and being like, oh, this place is great, my life, but really it's just not. You pulled the 8 of Pentacles with that Sun card. It means that you need to make your everyday life cranking out sun energy every day, just happiness and fun every day. That's what this week is about. Don't you want it every day? Don't you want to have great love energy every day? Or do you just want to have it like for tiny moments by not wanting to penetrate and just live in the, well, let me see, like one day. Wow, you pulled the 3 of Wands upright too. You got to go explore. You got to go explore instead of stay on the same tower that's already fallen or that you're afraid to watch fall. Like you might actually find a better tower. Go explore, go see, go on the expedition of the penetration of things, which is actually pretty fucking easy for you. You pulled the South Node, second house, in Gemini. So you need to focus a lot more, and this is kind of funny because the nodes are actually flipped in the opposite, but you need to focus on the 8th house Sag. You need to go experience the penetration. Easy. I got to go pee, but we're going to go with Aquas.
Aqua.
What do you have to say about that, Scorpio?
Oh, let's see. Scorpio. I think that at times we reside in the darkness of ourselves and we kind of limit ourselves when it comes to love and relationships that might be, something great. But there's the other side of that is where we kind of sit in, thought within ourselves. We sit within our emotions because we do tap into that intuitiveness. We do kind of get that upright feeling as if a relationship is going to work right off the bat, and that can kind of limit ourselves. And this goes with every sign. I'm a big proponent of like following your intuition and following your gut instinct when it comes to people that come into your life. And it's funny because I can hear myself on David's phone talking in the background. letting people actually kind of show who their truth is. Sometimes we pass judgment right off the bat, and I'm guilty of this a lot, of, kind of saying, no, this person's not right for me because of this. No, this person's not right for me because of that. When in all reality, we don't always give people the chance to show their true colors. When we meet someone for the first time, it can be stressful on all parties, and we kind of want to portray who we think that individual is looking for in a relationship. And that's where it kind of gets messed up, not necessarily being your true self, or being your true self, but too much right off the bat. We always have to ease ourselves into situations with people. I don't necessarily like to show all my cards right off the bat, because what else you gonna have to play with after that? Nothing. So there is that, secretiveness almost within yourself. There is that aspect of you that you can't necessarily just put it out into the world right off the bat, because it can scare people away, honestly. Individuals might not be ready for that true light and love that you are portraying, and that's okay. Because there's going to be another individual that is ready to receive that. And that's a great part about life also. Everyone is always changing. Everyone is always evolving, hopefully for the goodness. That doesn't always happen. Sometimes we have to take some steps back. Sometimes we can put ourselves and we can put other people in situations that aren't necessarily the healthiest. But as long as we're learning from that, as long as we're giving individual chances, but not overstepping that. Know your cutoff line. Know who you are. Know who you want someone to be, and have that cutoff line. And once that individual passes it, then it is time to cut it off fully, for sure. There's always ways to work to get to that point, and you got to be upfront on it and say, no, that's not going to work for me, or yes, this is going to work for me, and I hope you accept this aspect of me as well, so that we can build this relationship, because I am fully in. But you have to be fully in. And you have to be able to receive if you are going to put that out there. You can't just be, honest with an individual as to what you want to do in your life, and then they go and change themselves about it, and then you say, oh, actually, no, there's this other thing too, because that's not fair for them either. If you're going to be building a healthy relationship, you have to be willing to change yourself, and you have to be willing to accept the individual that is putting in that effort for you, for the change of that's for better. Because it's not fair if we give someone false hope.
Damn. False hope.
False hope.
Isn't that a Star Wars movie? It's crazy, actually. Michael Luton had posted this thing about how we're not going to figure all this stuff out until the next Saturn Pluto, which is like in 2054. Just how we didn't figure out, let's say, HIV until basically 2018, 2019 with Saturn Pluto. Basically, that's the truth of how to fully deal with it, or whatever it was, or whatever. Who knows, right? The long story short is he put up this picture of this even the robots will freak out, right? And then of what really went on. And then I was like, oh, I thought of THX 1138, which is George Lucas's first movie. It's where he got his logo from, and has, what's his name? Robert, not Robert.
What do you think of over there?
Huh?
What are you looking for?
Well, the name of the actor, but long story short, I put up some clips on his thing about it, and then I realized it was 1971 when that movie came out. And that movie is so scary, because it's I don't want to give away the whole movie, because people should watch that movie. That's what's going on right now. And it's weird that he called that out exactly Chiron 50 years ago. Right now is when he was doing the movie.
What movie is it?
THX, where you get THX sound from, all that. He got it. This is his first movie. THX 1138. It'll trip you out. You'll be like, this is exactly what's going on right now.
You're talking about George Lucas, or is that?
Yeah, it's George Lucas's first movie. He directed it.
That's what you're looking for?
No, I was looking for the actor. I think it's the lead. I was gonna say Richard Dreyfuss. It's Robert Robert
Duvall.
Robert Duvall. Yeah, and that movie will freak you out. The truth that people need to wake up in that way, and a lot of movies stole off that concept of that movie. So even the logo that comes from Lucasfilms comes from that movie. Pretty crazy. And THX sound, everything. That movie like is what he bases all of his movies upon in waking people up, including Indiana Jones, including Star Wars series. Like they all come from this wake up. Like wake up. Like why do you think he had in all the Indiana Jones, the Nazis looking for the occult superpowers and Indiana Jones having to go find all that stuff? Or even in the second one, in Temple of Doom, like people that eat and take people's hearts out and shit. Like there's so much hidden truths in all those movies. And I'm not saying I'm a George like Lucas like fanatic or something, because I'm really not. I'm more a fan of the movies, but not the guy. That might sound weird, but no, I'm not a big Star Wars person. I'm gonna be honest. I think Star Wars is kind of lame. But Indiana Jones, I'm down for that, and I'm down for THX 1138. That shit was bomb. But when you're talking about false hope, that movie will show you what false hope looks like. It's on a level that people don't even realize so intense what false hope looks like. And that's why in the astrology community right now, you know, there's been a lot of backlash because, you know what, to be honest with you, I'm not going to give you false hope. I'm going to give you the truth. Like the astrology is not easy. It's fucking the roughest astrology of all time. So what am I supposed to do? Just continue? Like, of course I give the positive aspects to it to help you through it, but I'm not going to just sit here and tell you like Susan Miller did on the fucking, and I had to do this today. I had to like get all crazy on some people. I was like, you know, if you want to join Susan Miller Astrology, who literally said on the 2020 at the collective the Conscious Life Expo panel with me and Deborah Silverman, with Coyote Star Astrology, there's a lot of great astrologers on there. And Susan Miller looks at all the whole audience, 550 people, and looks at us and goes, 2020 will be a light year. That's false hope. All of her fans that follow her and stuff, calling her out. I'll always call her out. She was a bitch.
Well, it comes down to, would you rather have an individual that, you know, might abruptly tell you something that you're not going to want to hear, but also is straight up with you so that you know how to work through those issues? Or do you want someone that's going to tell you some BS, you know, and then you're blindsided by a situation? That's what it really comes down to for me. I would prefer someone to tell me up front what the situation is so I can honestly make a decision in my mind as to how I want to go about it.
Can I ask you a question? Because I never asked you this question, and I actually really kind of want to get your real honest opinion.
Great. Sure.
So remember when she said publicly, because the Singapore Chinese astrologer was really nice. She was cool. I liked her. But she's like, don't worry, I don't have coronavirus. Remember, this is February 8th. And then Susan Miller goes, oh, I just got back from Wuhan City. Do you think she lied just to say that, to just be like, to try and say like, you guys are just, there's nothing to worry about over there? Because that's what she said too, remember?
Yeah, I mean, that was my first interaction with her in person. I didn't have a conversation with anything, but she definitely has a strange vibe to her. Definitely seems like an individual that would put out false information.
Yeah, because to me, I was like, I think she's just like Pisces lying and saying like she was just at Wuhan City when obviously it was on the news at that time, like stay away from people that came from there, and you're there, like, and you're just acting like it's no big deal.
Something strange to say, that's for sure.
Right, and then telling everybody this is a light year. The only thing you need to worry about is the Venus retrograde of May and June, and don't get married during that time. It was like, that's your revolutionary, like your world renowned that you call yourself and the best astrologer in the world. Like that's your world renowned information as an astrologer. A light year and don't get married during Venus retrograde. Like fucking people figure that shit out within the first week of fucking being into astrology. Like, wow. Anyway. Aquarius, how are you? How are you doing, my Aquarians? Well, I think Aquarians are really in a great position to, just how Scorpios have somewhat lost their penetration vibe. And what happened to their vibrators? What happened to all the vibrators to the Scorpios? what is going on with the Aquarians and the rebellions in them and the excitement and the radicality and the trying new things and to going into all these crazy places. And when it comes to love, it's a big deal because that's where the North Node is now, your love house. But that comes with a lot of complications. That means that you're not here to serve love for other people right now. You need to focus on your own happiness. Like if you're in a relationship or you're dating somebody and you're just doing it to kind of serve them, to make them happy and it makes you happy, no. Like, because you're not fully happy. It's like almost like, I'm afraid I don't want to hurt them because I don't want to do anything that causes any... like, where's that fucking... like, you know, like you're an Aquarius. Like, what the hell? It's learning for you to be more Leo. I'm learning how to be more Aquarian. So it's like, you know, this is a time, Aquarius, to fucking put yourself first and stop denying the emotions or the hermit, because with the Uranus in the 4th house, you can't be a hermit. And this full moon is the moon in the 10th house with an opposition to Uranus in the 4th, to the sun in the 4th, and to Mercury in the 4th, all in Taurus. That you're dealing now with a position to where it's like, you got to free the hermit and you've got to make big, hard choices about what changes you need to do to have more happiness in your life and stop serving all this energy up that's actually things that you don't even like, because Neptune squaring Venus in your 5th, and that retrograde's coming in your love house with a square to Neptune, which is in your 2nd house. So it's almost like, I don't know if I like this or not. And then it's like, I don't want to, whether it's in your life, I don't like the way I'm not getting what I want in my life. Well, you need to change your life up. You need to go after things more. You have to be a Leo. You have to go shine. You have to go experience happiness. You got to go be happy instead of making it mechanical or machinish. You're not a machine. Oh man, look at this. 9 of Swords upright. We got definitely a little bit of panic this week, a little bit of anxiety, waking up and realizing in your love relationships it's definitely not what you really want to be experiencing, or there could be some sort of thing that just wakes you up and realizes like, this is not what I really want to deal with. This is stress. You know, it's weird when I did the Gemini reading and now I'm doing the Aquarius reading right now. There's stress, just a lot of stress coming into the reading. Just like, the challenge card that we got here is, shift. You don't want to shift. So you'll just, do you want to just stay in the crisis mode? Do you want to stay in the nightmare? Or you have a challenge about shifting that. It's like, this is a nightmare, but I'm going to stay in it. It's really fun. You know, I get it. If you're at Disneyland, you're at the Haunted Mansion, that's a fun ride, but it's not a nightmare. It's actually kind of fun. This is taking like Get Out, the movie, and being like, well, let me just keep staying there instead of getting out. I don't know if I would want to be in that movie Get Out. You know what I mean? When you go downstairs especially, and then she starts throwing all of her black magic shit, and it's like, what the hell is going on here? And that weird maid? That's what you're dealing with right now, Aquarius. Oh, you got the 5 of Wands in reverse. You're afraid of conflict. So the overall outcome of this is like, you need to step more into conflict because you're afraid of it. That's the shift issue. Nightmares are not going to go away without conflicting energies of, hey, that you have to shift things. But it's like, I don't want to conflict anything, and I'll just sit in the nightmare and I won't shift. The nightmare is that you are not truly happy. Don't even try and play me here, Aquarius, with all of your disconnection shit. And let me look at it from another angle, because that's not your job anymore. Your job's to be a Leo. And I know I'm teaching you as a Leo that my job's to look at it from the other angles, that like, I know that you're not focused on the true ultimate. You are, but you don't even want to like deal with it. You're like, well, I'll just like do something else, or I'll disconnect from that energy. Yeah, right. Yeah. Oh, that'll go really good for 18 months. I'm still here every day after 8 years because I make sure I'm fucking happy every fucking day. Even when I have a bad day, I fucking still will do something that makes me fucking happy as fuck. You know what I mean? And definitely when it comes to love, I will not get into anything that I'm not like, yeah, fuck yeah. Well, the good news is, look at Jupiter abundance when you actually make a shift in your life. Wow. It's almost like this is going to be a hard one, even though it's such a great card. It's such a great reading. You get good luck by actually exiting and changing your whole entire nightmarish situations in your relationship situations, whether you're denying yourself of it or you're not in one or you're single or you're dating people and it's not working out or you're in a long-term relationship or a marriage or anything. Like there's something that needs to majorly shift there. We're going to find out what the nightmare is. What's the oh my God, the nightmare is a Tower card. It's like, you know what? This is kind of crazy because this goes back to 8 years ago. What happened 8 years ago? Venus retrograde in your 5th house. The story of the last 8 years of this tower is just fucking no longer, it's done. That service of that tower is done. So there's something to say. It's like, Aquarius, like if you've been in a relationship for over 8 years, okay, you need to look at that point too. If you're single right now, it's like the way that you've been trying to do love for this last 8 years ain't not working. And that needs to end because it's just continuing the nightmare. Why'd you get that 5 of Wands in reverse? You got the 8 of Cups upright, which is the complete moving away and moving into new energy. And in this one, it is like a cardinal blessing it to say goodbye. As if it was like a coffin. And why is that? You're denying conflict because you're afraid to leave. You don't want the conflict of leaving. You don't want to go through that ever again, or you don't want to even experience that. But that's what Aquarians' only way of moving forward in life is disconnection. The only way that we can move an electronic to the place we want it to go or to advance things in life is unplug it and put up a new one. And I know that is something that that goes against all the traditional thinking of how things are. And Aquarius is like the most terrified. They're running on the oldest TVs right now. And it's kind of funny. Every Aquarius I know, when it comes to advancement in technology and shit, they're always like a little bit behind right now. I'm always like, that's a JVC. God, they still make that? You know? My pops, he's an Aquarius, sun and moon. I for Christmas, was here, pops, that JVC. Yeah, it's a flat, it's an LCD, but pops. Actually, it was Venus retrograde. It was Venus in Aquarius or Venus in Gemini. That it was a 2012 one. I literally last year was here, pops. I hooked him up. I'm here's a real TV. So if you're an Aquarius, go look at your television. Is it really small? Is it the basic bitch one? Or is it big and it's old? Or maybe you don't have a TV. Maybe you don't have anything and you're meandering around right now. Aquarius, this is gnarly. Saturn and Mars are in your sign. Mars is going to leave and it won't come back for 2 years. And when it comes back for 2 years, it'll be at the end of the Saturn transit. So it's going to come back again. And what you do and what you set for the intention of yourself. And this is about focusing on yourself and your own happiness. This is Mars in your 1st house. This is North Node in the 5th. Because if you put it about other people and your relationships right now, and you're not getting happy about it, don't know what to tell you. You got Pluto in the 5th and Scorpio. That is the ultimate death and transformation of the heart. And also accepting the truth 100% of what is not true in the heart and completely putting an end to it in a death. You got to be careful too with this because it's almost like obsessive, compulsive, I'm going to stay. This makes me happy, even though it doesn't. It becomes almost like a dark, controlling octopus that just doesn't want to let go with the tentacles. But it's if it's not making you happy, those tentacles will not get fed. It will not, even when it ingests it, it will feel empty. There's some really deep truths about your real heart and secrets that you're not revealing. If you're a cross-watcher and dating an Aquarius or with one, that's what's going on.
Yeah, to play on that,
Damn.
on the octopus there. I mean, I'm sure many of you out there have seen the videos of an octopus, on a fishing boat or in one of those things, and he's stuck on that boat, or unless he feels like it, and then he finds that little hole, and he's able to transform himself or herself or itself, whatever an octopus is, through the tiniest little hole. And he's able to escape that situation that at one point felt hopeless. But it adapted, and it transformed, and it set itself free. And you have that power, but you have to be willing to change. You have to be.
You have to be.
You have to be willing to change.
What do we got left? The last one, Sag.
Yep.
Woo! Saggies! This is a long, deep love tarot. Somebody said, don't tell our secrets here. I'm assuming they're in Aquarius. Well, the last sign, Sag, and how funny that the South Node is in your sign as we're talking right now. And I will make sure that that is true on this Tuesday morning now at 12:04 a.m., 12:07 a.m., that we are at exactly, is that, we are there. Wow. Welcome to the new portal, Sag. Now the North Node's in Gemini, your relationship house. Who you pick in your life determines where your life will really go and whether it will expand or not. That one's a hard one. But it's also a great one because you just have to make sure that you're on the same energy, twin-wise, and excitement as the partners that you pick. This is a great time for relationships for you. It's your opposite sign. But it's definitely, if you're going to try and do this whole thing all alone, so Sag is trying to do it alone, trust me, when South Node was in Leo, I did it alone. And you know what? I felt more empty. I got reality show. I got on Tree Beauty. I got all this shit. And it was crazy because when I finally got in a relationship was when it felt whole. North Node was when it was Aquarius. I was like, oh, that's when it feels whole. And I got more famous for my relationship than the reality show because we were both on the show together. It wasn't me that got famous. It was the fact that I got in a relationship that got us in the tabloids that got us famous. That's where the North Node in the 7th house is crazy. You might think that you can do this whole thing independently and on your own. And then you might think, oh, well, okay, well, I can do it with this person. Well, this has been the hardest thing for Sages is defining who that person is because it's been and this is a full moon in Scorpio, your 12th house, before this major shift with all the planets that go retrograde, especially Venus retrograde in your relationship house. You got to make this call this full moon. Because on Thursday, this full moon in Scorpio is your 12th house. What needs to that you're attached to that is toxic? This is your 12th house. These are 12th house issues that didn't get built on a good foundation, that are obviously not really that great, obviously not that spiritual, obviously also could be confusing or even obsessive or even trying to control you darkly or have a dark element to it. You've got to release the past. Or if it's an ex that you haven't let go of, you got to let it go. Or if it's just this huge moment, because for you got to go back 8 years too. What happened in May and June of 2012? This was the last Venus retrograde that's coming up on Monday. So, but this Taurus energy in the 6th is saying that there is a better reality for you relationship-wise that makes more sense for the reality of what you really want in the reality that you want to have. That it has all the pieces, Uranus. That's one thing about Sag. Everything that you look in the Zodiac, you need all the pieces for. Well, when it comes to your reality, you need the whole pizza. You're not somebody who's I want all the toppings. I want all the good toppings too. Or are you just picking some basic ass cheese pizza here with a couple little things, or a multifaceted full reality that actually makes sense where all of it is also given the value back towards you? Or are you not really that valued or more obsessed upon for just simple shit, but really not seen for the other things? And Neptune is squaring Venus, and Neptune's in your 4th house. So it's emotional city for you. You're so sensitive here. Remember, you got It's one thing, but it's about learning that Neptune and Pisces for the 4th house for Sagittarius is to flow with your emotions instead of get all like crazy. Be like, the flow is not working. I need to swim in a direction where the flow is, because that's the only way that a Sag can truly keep going on the journey. It's when you let as a centaur, right? You can see high and you can aim high, but that centaur, that horse part of you cannot cross the river. It has to forge the river. Or is it a lot easier to find a stream and follow it that's easy flowing and will take you where you want to go? So your emotions get crazy when you feel like you have to keep forging the river constantly. And I say that's an old Oregon Trail expression. Like, I got to go take this fucking horse and I got to get through the river and it's not going the direction I want. Go against it. No, that's when shit gets crazy. Are you going to go through that for the next 3 months? Or are you going to make that choice to cut that off or not? Whoa.
Whoa.
Owie, mama.
Oh, no.
8 of Swords upright. This is the trapped and bound card by a toxic energy. Being in a toxic relationship, or if you're single, you're just bound and trapped to love because of your own toxic energies or attachments to mental things or past toxic stuff. There's just a lot of this is the sick card. Either you're with somebody who's like, and I know not like sick, like cold or flu, like spiritually sick. Oh, wow, your challenge here. Are you going to put yourself in a place of affluence in your love life and relationship? No, that's your challenge. It's like you're not thinking of the better affluence, the better quality, the better position. You would rather stay in a fucked up situation. 8 of Swords. Oh, this is me. Just tie me up, blindfold me, and stick me on a river with toxic nuclear waste running down my bottom of my dress. And hopefully somebody will figure this out. No, you have to figure that out. You're the one choosing to be there. And look at this challenge. The most best card, like an affluence, a high quality, a better life that's far away from this place. But no, I don't want that. I want the crap. Can you serve extra diarrhea on it with me too? And your overall is like, you need to find that inner knowing of what you want. The 9 of Pentacles knows what she wants. And she knows so much what she wants that even the birds always come to her because she's like, I want that bird to come to me, and it comes. But she knows her value, she knows her beauty, she knows her grace, and she knows her independent value to get whatever it is she wants in love. If you're not going to step into that and be like, this is what I want, and you're just going to be like half-assed, like, oh no, I don't know what I want. Look at how different these cards are. Who are you? This or that? Pretty clear. The way you get through this affluence issue is look at this earth element. A better stability. There's issues with stability if you're in a relationship right now with somebody who's keeping you toxic. And there's issues with their self-worth over you. And so the way that you get through is you find somebody, or you find a situation, or you find in yourself just the stability of the own value that you know that you are. And you don't let anything take away from the affluence that you can achieve in your life because of somebody's insecurities or somebody's instabilities or being in an unstable situation. That's creating a disadvantage for you to have the affluence, which is the block. When it comes to the 8 of Swords upright, look at this. The way that you get out of that is take the Chariot ride out. Because the Chariot leaves the city because it's figured it all out. It knows everything. And it's like, let me go where the universe takes me. And let me go where I'm being called by the signs. It holds the magician wand. It has the stars cape. It's got the black and the white and the typical tarot. Like the Chariot literally is guided by spirit completely and guided completely on the chariot ride of its life that is going so fast that God and its angels and all the divine universe is pulling you into the most amazing direction. Because behind you, doesn't have it anymore. You got the Star card over that Nine of Pentacles. So when you step into this, the real person that you are, the real true self, you get a fresh new slate of your life, a beautiful one. The Star card, it might feel naked at first, but in many ways, when you're covered in toxic waste and diarrhea, there's nothing better than a shower. You pulled South Node, Capricorn, third house. So your issue is that you keep trying to control your environment and keep it the same, but it's not changing anything. You have to North Node this in Cancer and go to your feelings in the ninth house of the beliefs and the experiences of that you want to feel. And if you're not in the experiences that you want to feel and you're trying to control your very tiny reality and keep everything postured correctly and do everything the proper way, you're going to fucking lose. That's not what a Sag does. And that's not what this is saying to do either. Which is kind of ironic that Sag, Pisces, and Gemini got, I would say, the hardest readings. And they're all being affected by this nodal shift right now tonight. And they're all being affected by this Venus retrograde Monday. You all don't have time. And all of us don't. All of us do not have time to keep fucking around in love. Like I do not want, as a astrologer, as a tarot reader, as a light worker, I do not want any of the collective to ever have to go. It's your choice. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not going to put my belief on you. I'm going to just tell you the datas and the facts and the information to do my North Node Gemini thing. That's what I was born with. And I haven't had this shit fucking since I was 18, 19, and I used it the wrong way as a leader in boot camp. You know what I mean? So I'm going to be very boot campy, but I just give the facts. Do you really want to go through the rest of this year because you didn't want to make a choice this week about fucking shit or greatness? Your choice. Your choice. It will not be fun on the other side if you choose shit. I'm telling you, it'll be the hell of your life. Now that the South Node tonight has left Capricorn, that means Jupiter and Pluto in Capricorn right now can be fully felt. There is no more illusion. And right now, we're not going to feel it as hard because Jupiter and Pluto, Pluto's hidden and Jupiter's a benefic. But when Saturn retrogrades on Monday, guess what? It's on its way back into Capricorn. Not right away, but by the time we get into June, while the Venus retrograde's happening, it's going to be fucking gnarly to feel Saturn back in its home sign without the South Node with Jupiter and Pluto there. It's going to be overwhelming. If you thought that this whole entire last 7 weeks was crazy of lockdown, imagine your own spiritual lockdown in the deepest way based off your love life. That's what this Venus retrograde is going to do and put you into crazy situations or the most exciting ones. Up to you. Your choice. Craigie?
Yeah. I mean, definitely the theme is change and accepting the change that we want in our life and kind of being the catalyst for that change. Appreciating the universe that's around us and the situation that's put us in, but yet always able and always willing to pivot out of that situation because sometimes we're put, in front of an individual or a relationship that can test us. And sometimes we need to work through that. And sometimes it's put in front of us just so we can learn from it. It's not always going to be roses and balloons. Okay. Sometimes we have to actually work for it and we always have to be willing to change. We have to evolve. So
evolve.
There's that.
Evolve. Yeah, and I think you said it best. Like, it's not going to be easy. I think that you do a very good job of like filling in a lot of the gaps that I don't know how to fill in. I think that actually Craig gives all the comfort to everything that I have to say because I don't really know how to just. My job is not to give you fluffed hope. That's actually South Node and Sag, and that's what I was born with. And I used to run off that, but that's comfortable for me. It's a lot harder for me actually to just deliver hardcore truth bombs. But that's what my job was this life. And so that's when this took off in my life, was when I just delivered hardcore truth bombs, because that's what my destiny is. My destiny is not to fluff you. So the ultimate is what I just told you. And I know you all think I'm crazy when it comes to timing. And I tell you, I mean, I fucking screamed for 3 years. There's a plague coming in January. I said there would be a split in the collective December 17th, 2019 on that deep astrology. I didn't know how to tell you all. I'm just trying to tell you right now that, like, when it comes to love, the choices you make this week make or break you. And what you think will break you will make you. What you think will make you will break you. Think about that.
Boom.
It's usually like, you know what I mean? Like the thing that you already know what will make you and you already know what will break you, but you're trying to make the break you, right? Like if you're afraid of a breakup, like, ugh. Or you're afraid to get in a relationship, oh, maybe I know I need to. You know, it's like those are the themes. So good luck. And we'll be here for Deep Astrology tomorrow. We'll be for full disclosure. If you want questions answered specifically, we don't do charts though. We don't do sun signs either. We do like general questions about astrology, spirituality, all kinds of subjects, whatever you want to talk about, or personal stuff, whatever, on Full Disclosure on High Vibe every Wednesday. So we do that show, and then Thursday, spiritual dance music. We're going to do it Scorpio full moon style. I'm going to have to get with Craig, and we're going to have to like Scorpionic the shit out of this. Oh yeah, if you want to email those questions or watch live and be a part of High Vibe, just subscribe to High Vibe on your iPhone, iOS, Android, Apple TV, Roku, or on Amazon Fire, or just go to highvibe.tv. HV full disclosure at gmail.com is where we email the questions. And then, yeah, if you want to see what's next, if you want to find out more about what I was just talking about, how crazy this energy is, watch that video, 2020 What's Next. Purchase at highvibe.tv on the paid video section. And then all you do is then log into the apps after you paid to that with your login. Because Apple doesn't let you buy videos on demand on your iPhone. People are like, why can't I do that? I'm like, because they don't allow it. So, anywho.
Good night. Good morning.
Good night. Good morning. What was it? How he said it? Mr. Rogers at the end?
That's a good question. Happy trails to you.
I don't remember, but either way, good luck and don't fuck it up. See ya. Adios.